Josh, welcome to ID Fitness Podcast.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you calling me in.
Oh, no problem. I wanted to get you before you go to your flight school.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. I know you're super excited about that.
I am very, very excited. It's been something that flying has been a dream of mine since I was a kid. And so finally getting to do it. And I did not do it the typical way of going to a flight school and going through each step. I went to a flight school, took 2 lessons. I didn't like their planes. So I came home and said, I'm buying an airplane. And the people look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, they're not that expensive. You know,
Yep.
It's cheaper than most people's trucks. It's not like anything fancy, but I got a Honda Civic with wings. It's not a
Yeah, tell them what plane you got.
Yeah, it's a Piper Cherokee.
Yeah.
So I can put me and
We'll put a picture up on it.
Yeah, me 3 buddies in it and get good fuel mileage and not particularly fast, but it's a whole lot better than driving. A lot of fun to fly, comfortable. You know, it's a lot better than getting on an airliner and a whole lot better than driving my truck somewhere. And so, and I'm getting to live that dream. So instead of renting someone's plane, I've done all my training in mine and then been able to do trips with it. Take my boys, we went and saw a St. Louis Cardinals game, flew up there for the day, saw the game, came back. When else could you do,
Holy cow.
You couldn't pull that off. So a lot of really cool things that have come from being able to do that. The downside of not going through a school is sometimes it's hard to get examiners to get you on the schedule to do your check rides. It takes a lot longer to do that. So I've been waiting for 6 or 7 months at least trying to get a check ride for my commercial rating.
Now, is that normal for it to be that long?
No. Well, when you go through a school, I think that's my understanding. The reason it's taking so long is because they're just tied up doing stuff for schools. And since I'm doing it on my own, I'm kind of the bottom of the totem pole. Hey, when I get free time, I'll do yours. Well, so that's kind of the downside of it, but I got to do it on my own schedule, got to do it while working full time, running my business and all that, getting most of it done. And I got my instrument ratings done that way. But now trying to do my commercial ratings so I can actually get paid to fly, which is not the whole point of it, but a big chunk of what I wanted to fly for. I've just been waiting and waiting and waiting. Every day that goes by is one more day my dream's getting put off and my next step of my career is getting put off. So I found a school down in Winter Haven, Florida, which is the temperature's going to be much better this coming weekend than it will be here.
Dude, it's going to be so cold.
And so it starts on Monday. I'm flying down there, and it'll take me roughly 3 weeks to get down there and finish up my commercial and my multi-engine ratings. And then I'll be hireable, be able to get it. Now, that doesn't mean I'll come back and get a job right away, but it gives me the opportunity to start looking for work there. And I've got the opportunity, if I want, to go back down there for about a year and teach and build hours that way too. And we'll just have to see because I love teaching. We'll see how I like the school when it's, like down there. But one of the things I'm really excited about for this weekend is I was going to leave on Sunday, fly down there. School's on Monday. It's only about a 5-hour flight. And, but there's a snowstorm coming in Thursday night,
Is it going to be
Friday.
pretty bad? Because I know you watch the weather,
They're calling
especially for the pilot.
I've heard anywhere from 4 to 9 inches of snow, but that's enough of it that, if the runway's covered in snow, you just can't really get out. If you got frost on your wings, you can't fly. You don't want to fly in wet air that's below freezing because the wings ice up and then the plane doesn't create good lift. You fall out of the sky. Things that you want to look out for typically, not falling out of the sky being one of them. And so the weather conditions just weren't going to be, they're going to be iffy at best trying to leave this weekend. And so I was like, well, I need to get out before that. And I don't want to just go sit around in an Airbnb in Winter Haven. So I'm going to fly a couple more hours down. And I've never been before, but I'm going to Key West. And I've got a charter set up on Friday. I'm going free diving and spearfishing with a guy. Does that. He teaches free diving and teaches spearfishing as well. And I told him I got into that in college when my dad was stationed in Hawaii, free diving and spearfishing. I love it. And I'm like a lot of things in life, self-taught. And so I'm good, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Yep.
And so I told him my story. He's like, man, we kind of hit it off because I'm just a friendly talking. He's like, well, I tell you what, man, I don't have anything for you to team up with another charter, but I don't have anybody going out Friday. I'll cut you a little bit of a deal since it's just you, and I'll teach you some stuff. We'll go out there for a whole day, and I'll teach you, how to control your heart rate, how to do deeper, better breath holds and get deeper. I'm like, dude, see you on Friday morning. And so I'm just really more excited about that, I think, than in the 3 weeks of flying afterwards.
Dude, if you all take pictures, let me know.
I'm going to take as many pictures as I can. This is something that I've always wanted it. I don't get to do it because there's not very many free diving places in Mississippi. That's how that is. And then even when I lived in Panama City for about 10 years, and I did a lot of scuba and spearfishing. And that's spearfishing. If you're going to say what's your favorite hobby, as much as I love flying, spearfishing. Well, I think I got into because scuba diving and free diving and spearfishing, it's like you're flying because it's all three, up, down, left, right, forward, back. You kind of have that 3-dimensional control, and you're just in this free world. I mean, it's hard to explain. Some people are scared to death of water. When I get in water, I go absolute peaceful. It doesn't matter if I can see the bottom or not. I don't care. I'll go out in the middle of something. They're like, how deep is this place? I'll go as deep as I can, see if I can touch the bottom and let you know how long it took me to get there. And it doesn't, but I get excited, not nervous in water. It's just my happy place. So I absolutely love it. And I haven't been to do any free diving and spearfishing since college, and that's a day or two ago.
Sounds like you should have been a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Missed that calling, I guess, right? And so I did get to do some free diving a couple years ago. I was in the Bahamas and got to do, but I didn't get to spearfish out there. But I got to do it for the first time in a long time and was surprised at how well I was able to do without a lot of practice. So I'm really excited about getting some lessons in it and kind of see if I can get deeper than break my record and see if I can't spear some cool stuff deep down, and I'll just have a good day. So
the way how excited you are too, but just like describing how deep you want to, let's see how deep this is. Like, dude, you're gonna have so much fun out there.
Oh yeah, man. That's when I got into Hawaii, my dad took over as the battalion commander for 1st Battalion 3rd Marines on Kaneohe, Hawaii, right after I graduated high school. So I did a semester at college out there. Then I transferred here to Ole Miss, but I would go back every Christmas and every summer. And since he was a battalion commander, his house was on the water. The backyard was the Pacific Ocean. I mean, it was, the house wasn't much, but location, right? I mean, it would go, and so there's a good surf beach right down, like just walk out of the backyard on the beach and go down a little ways, but there's really good spearfishing. Just swim. My brother and I would go out far enough my mom couldn't see us with binoculars from the backyard, and we'd be out for 5 or 6 hours. And she would get really upset with us because we'd go out for so long and she didn't know. But when you have 19-year-old, 18-year-old kids, what you gonna do? They're gonna go, and it was like 60 feet of water. It didn't drop off real deep out there. But we go up. There was a buoy we'd swim out past that boats were more up on, and people would scuba dive, and we were past
that my thing, gosh.
So we got to got really good at getting down in that 40 to 60 foot depth. But I didn't think in the Bahamas last year. I think 40 feet's as deep as I went. But
now, when you're trying to go like 40 to 60 feet, because when I'm in a pool, like, I hit 9 foot and I feel like my ear's about to explode. I'm trying to pop them.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, I'm hoping to learn better techniques to it. A lot of people do the whole pinch your nose and blow thing. That's never worked real well for me. I just swallow or kind of pop my jaw a little bit and my ears clear, but I've always been very good at doing that. So even scuba, when I go off the boat and we're doing 120 feet, I'm just nose diving, kicking my feet straight to the bottom, get on down there. Don't waste any time. And a lot of people have to kind of take their time going down. It's just never been a very difficult thing for me.
Do you feel like the deeper you go in the pressure, it just automatically pops, or do you have to?
No, you got to work. And sometimes, if I go too fast, I'll have to come up a little bit and kind of equalize and go back down.
Yeah.
But as you go deeper, the pressure happens quicker at each thing.
It gets more intense.
And I didn't understand that, honestly, until I started flying. So here, you get learning something neat. So that pressure is the weight of everything above you.
Say it again.
The pressure you feel on your ears is the weight of everything above you.
That is
so like when you go
insane.
flying and your ears pop, and because the pressure's less, it's because there's less air above you pushing down on you. All right?
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that till I started studying aviation stuff. And so
That
when
just
you go
clicked for
underwater, you got the weight of all that air plus the weight of water, which obviously weighs a lot more than air. So that's why pressure changes so much. Like if you went up a 10-foot ladder, you wouldn't have to clear your ears.
Right.
But you go down to the bottom of a 10-foot pool, and you do have to clear your ears.
Yep.
And that's why. It's because that pressure is caused by all the column of weight directly above you, air and water. So the farther you go down, the more water is on top of you, the more that pressure is. And
now, when you guys swimmed out where your mom couldn't see you with the binoculars, basically, How do you tread and stay in the, or do you have life jacket? I mean,
No, we would just,
How long do
board
you-
shorts, fins, and mask and snorkel. And just, you get tired sometimes and you just kind of do a dead man's float and just relax a little bit, and then go at it again. But,
That's crazy to me.
I was in really good shape, obviously, back then, just because I was swimming all the time. But I think I'm in better physical condition now, which we'll talk, I'm sure, about later.
Yeah.
But just was in really good shape back then from that, and I just loved it. There are lots of we were dumb, doing a lot of things we shouldn't have been doing. Being out there, that was just being that far out without a boat, without any I was almost murdered by an octopus one time.
What?
So it's one of my favorite stories since I survived it. Wouldn't have been had I not been. But I don't like octopuses. They're mean little. Don't trifle with an octopus apparently. But we would shoot them all the time. You'd find them in little they'd cover themselves up with rocks and sit there, I guess, and ambush fish or something. I don't know. But you kind of see them, and we go down and swim down and shoot them with a spear gun. And then you just kind of twist the spear and you count the little 8 arms come out and you pull them out of the hole and swim to the surface. And they have a gill kind of on the front of their head. And I don't want to be gross with them, but you can kind of grab it and just turn them inside out like you're folding socks.
Yeah.
And it kill them. And you just stick them on your little stringer. I had a board leash with a stringer on it on my foot carrying fish. That's how I carried all the fish I shot. And so I saw one down there in a little cave hole with some rocks around it. And so I swam down there and I shot him, and it just pulled the spear out and threw it back out of the hole. So I swam back up, reloaded my gun, got the breath air, swam down, did it again, same thing. And so it takes a lot of energy on each dive, and reloading the gun and all that's just kind of a pain. So I was like, I thought the hole was just too shallow, so I wasn't getting the flapper of the spear far enough in. And so I was like, I'm just going to swim down there and grab it. Same thing. So I swam down, reached up in the hole and grabbed a hold of the octopus and started shaking him, trying to aggravate him. And he reached a few arms out, but not all of them. And I could not get him out of the hole, and then I could not get him off of me. So I'm 60 foot down, stuck to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, with an octopus climb, and his arms just kept coming. They were long enough. They ran up my arm, and I pulled my mask off my face. It was around the back of my head. I was like, what did I just get a hold of? And my brother's swimming down and trying to pull it off, and it's just right back on me. So I'm sure it wasn't as long as it felt, but I felt like I was down there for an eternity.
Yeah.
When I got it out, I find as fast as I could to get the. It's just when I got him out of the hole and started hitting the surface, it was just all over me. And got to the surface, and I just couldn't collect myself to breathe because this thing is just like, you want a piece of this? Come on. And so I ended up having to just took it and just bit it right in the middle of the face and just crushed its head with my teeth because I couldn't turn it. I couldn't give it so big. I couldn't, so it's a fun story. It's disgusting.
That is crazy.
But it's I don't know anybody else that's ever been almost murdered by an octopus, so I kind of have that.
Bit his head off, basically.
That's right. Yeah, I learned a lesson. I'm not saying I wouldn't try it again, but I learned a lesson. I'm not smart, and you can't make me.
So there's a lot of octopus out there.
Yeah, we saw them a lot, and it was kind of I wish I knew a lot more about cooking fish and octopus like I do now. When we were out there, we didn't have a clue what we were doing, so we just come home and boil it, and it'd be chewy. But we're like, hey, we caught an octopus and we eat it. That was cool, but it wasn't really good. And I've had it prepared well now. I'm like, oh man, I'd have been loving life out there if I knew how to make it taste like this. And
that is crazy. I'm still processing the
It's just
I can just see you ripping his head off too with your teeth.
Man, it was at the moment it was not a hey, look how bad I am. It was I was legitimately scared and nervous. I was 19 years old and thought I was about to drown, and it was a spooky moment. But looking back, I've lost the picture. I'm so mad. One day hopefully it'll show up. But I have a picture of me holding it up by its little gill things, and the head's about. It's not like a basketball, not that big. Like a youth basketball, maybe like one of the smaller ones.
Wait, you still have a picture of it?
I've got a picture of somewhere.
Dude, you send it to me, and we're gonna put it on the podcast.
Well, I gotta find it. I got some of my pictures from Hawaii, and I cannot find that one because back on it's film days. They weren't digital. And I had like hickey marks all over my arm, my neck, and my back, and all that.
You sure it wasn't a female octopus?
Hey, baby. So it was. But me standing there holding it, and its tentacles are like laid out on the ground. They were that long.
Dang.
Yeah, so, and I've seen pictures and videos of octopus much larger than that one, but that thing was
that the biggest one you've encountered?
That's the biggest one I've ever seen in person, for sure.
Holy cow.
Obviously, if I'd have known he was that big, I'd
probably not mess with him.
I probably would.
You
have.
probably would have.
I'm not. I'm not.
Now, where were you at when you were messing with him?
This was off the backyard, but probably a mile offshore and 60 feet down. I mean, just over a rock. It was just like coral bottom. There were little caves and little structures we'd fish.
So there's so much stuff in the ocean that we don't even know.
Oh man, there's I've seen stuff I didn't know existed till I saw them. I've seen just crazy stuff. The ocean is just such a cool. There's so much out there we don't know too. I mean, like even the deep stuff, obviously we don't know, but just so much to see. Is always something new to see every time you go out. I've seen massive stingrays. I've seen sharks. I've seen huge barracudas. I've had a Goliath grouper I thought was going to eat me one time because I snuck up on it and touched it because I can't, if you know what they are, they're like 400-pound grouper.
Yeah.
And I can't see a fish that size and not try to touch it. And so it was laid up against the rock and I swam around the other side and like I was on scuba, but held my breath and kind of climbed over and snuck down and just like touch, and it moved so fast. It just like ninja'd, just disappeared, and then was right there in my face. His mouth opened up. I could have crawled inside of it.
Oh my gosh.
And like just grunted at me. This like, oh. Hindsight, one of the coolest things I've ever witnessed. In the moment, again, like, oh crap. I just killed myself again for the 37th time, So when I get to heaven, I think God's going to walk me down for the first few days. Like, this is, Guardian Angel number 62. This is Guardian Angel number, they've all retired.
That is hilarious. I didn't even expect you to say that. When you're in the ocean like that, how long can you hold your breath now? Because it'll be interesting once you go learn some.
That's a good question. I held it a lot longer than I thought. A couple years ago, I was in the Bahamas. I stayed down a lot longer than I thought I'd be able to, but I didn't have a timer. I don't know. The longest I've ever timed myself was only like 2 minutes, like sitting in a pool.
Holy cow!
But and that's a long time. But and I don't think swimming right now, like swimming down, I would not be down there that long for sure. And there's people out there that actually would do 5-minute free dives. Yes. But all of it is in that whole controlling your heart rate and understanding, and a big part of it's a mental thing. When your brain says, I'm out of air, you're nowhere close to it.
It's just when you panic, the heart rate raises, you start burning more oxygen.
And so you have these triggers that were and again, I don't understand other than just doing a little bit of reading because I'm looking forward to learning more. But when the oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in your body reach a certain percentage of each other, your brain says, hey, it's time to breathe again. Can you give me a little more air? And so if you're underwater, your brain's saying, there's plenty of it up there. Let's go get some of that. And you can come back. Let's go get that first. And so you're having to fight that urge, early. Now, there's some danger to that. You fight it too much, and then you're like, oh, you're out,
Yeah.
So it's learning where that is. But, again, I am by no means a pro at it or even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I got taught by some, 400-pound Samoan guy that I was going to college with in Hawaii. That was like, oh, come on, I'll show you how to do this. And,
that is crazy. All right. Tell us how you got to Oxford.
So I, after graduated, I went to high school in Alabama. That was where we were at the time. And graduated high school, and Dad got stationed in Hawaii. So
your dad was in the Marines?
In the Marine Corps.
Okay.
He was an infantry officer. And so
and where was Mom at?
Mom was just stay-at-home mom. She worked a little bit growing up, but for the most part, she was a stay-at-home mom.
And it was just you and your brother?
And so we have a younger brother and a younger sister.
Okay.
So there's three of us there. And so they're younger than me. They were still in high school when we went to Hawaii. And so I was like, but I'm not going to miss out moving to Hawaii, to go off to college. But after the first semester out there, I kind of had that, all right, I got to move. I'm like, I can come back, but I wanted the move out of the house thing. And we drove through Ole Miss on the way to Hawaii. We didn't drive all the way to Hawaii because the bridge wasn't finished yet. But we drove to San Diego and then flew out there. And and kind of made like a 2-week vacation out of driving across the country. So we drove through Oxford and through the campus as just like hey kids, this is where I went to college for my dad, And the town was beautiful, and it was a small town. I'm kind of a small town guy. I was very, very introverted, not like I am now. Kind of very just kept to myself a lot. And so I didn't like a lot of people. I didn't like big areas, didn't like big cities, that kind of thing. And so when I decided I was going to leave, I applied at Ole Miss, I think it was Texas A&M and Auburn, and got accepted all of those. And I was going to do the RTC program. I wanted to fly jets for the Marine Corps. And but those two schools were big, and it just didn't like. And I never seen one of them. And I had that. I kind of seen Oxford. I like the town, small. Let's go there. And so I just flew to, from Hawaii out here and started school second semester of my freshman year, and just fell in love with the town. It was an amazing. In the 90s, it was such a small town. I was here 96 to 2000, and did a lot of becoming who I am happened when I was here in college. And so that kind of have a love for this town for that, because I came out of my shell. I kind of got a lot of confidence. Just really started not believing the lies that I was telling myself my whole life, or that, bullies were telling me my whole life, that you're worthless and you're not, anything. Yeah. And just I had a few friends that would just, good enough friends to build me up rather than laugh when a bully was picking on me, and I never had that growing up. It was my little sob story. I was so small growing up that the big bullies didn't mess with me, but the kids that they bullied would bully me. That's how little I was growing up. I was second tier bullied growing up. I was only like 70 pounds when I started high school.
Holy cow.
Yeah, when I got to college, I was 120.
Wow.
So
you were tiny.
I was tiny. And so I was a very easy target, almost too easy for your main bullies though. Like I said, I was kind of, and so just wasn't, had no self-assurance, no self-esteem, and so all my life I would just kind of hide in the shadows. 2 years later, I'm going to be somewhere else, and you get beat up for a little bit the first time when you first get there, and then people ignore you because it wasn't, I didn't fight back and make a big deal out of it and move. And that's not a way to be, but it's the way I coped with it. And so when I got here, I just kind of, I guess I was tired of it. I don't know. Maybe I did something that had a little bit of a cool factor to me because I just come from Hawaii. So that gave me something to kind of, I didn't feel like I was cool, but I had something cool. I went to college in Hawaii. You did. So it gave me a little bit of boost maybe. And as I started realizing that when I was confident in myself, people were confident with me. And I was able to talk to people. And I was still really scared to talk to girls. I was still learning that one. It was but I was able to meet new people. And if I was in a group setting, I didn't have a problem talking to anybody as long as I had somebody there with me to give. So I kind of started forcing myself to be a little more extroverted. And I got to the point in that time in my life, and even in the the challenge with like freediving, that's the first difficult thing I'd ever done in my life, and I got better at it. And I was like, wow, you try hard at something, you can get good at it. And so I started just taking that mindset towards everything. Anything that was really, really hard, that's what I'm excited about now. Can I beat that? Can I be better at that? So talking to people really, really hard. All right, give me the opportunity. And I still get scared to death talking to people. You know, I'm doing this. The inside of me is going crazy. I'm nervous, but hey, that's a good challenge. Just do it. So I defeat the nervousness with the excitement of it being a challenge. Yeah. So I've had opportunities to stand up and talk in front of large groups, to have opportunities to preach. I've had opportunities to, and I'm scared to death to do all that, but it's that challenge to do. So I kind of got into that. I got into running in college, and because that was a challenge, and I wasn't any good at it. Never did that, and became really good at it, and kind of made an identity in that. And so that's what got me here at Ole Miss. And my plan was I wanted to fly F-18s for the Marine Corps. So I picked up a scholarship with ROTC, was doing great in that. I was a PT stud. Was not a study guy though. Like I just did not do well in classes because it always came easy to me in high school, like that stuff. And then when I got into the harder stuff, I'd never studied before. Yeah. And so now you have to study. I didn't know how. And then I didn't want to either. So finally I was to the point where, hey, I'm not popular, but I have friends, people want to hang out with me. I really didn't care about school anymore. Yeah. I was enjoying being enjoyed by people. And so I just neglected studies. So I was here for about 3 years, and then grades weren't looking good, lost my scholarship. Well, there goes that dream. And I thought my flying dream was dead with that. And so I moved off from there and was gone for about 10 years. But I kind of felt, I never had a home, and this place kind of felt like home to me.
Yeah.
And so for 10 years, I just kind of dreamed of finding a reason or a way to get back up here. And so when the economy kind of tanked down in Florida, my job wasn't looking good. Ended up losing my job down there.
And what were you doing in Florida?
I was selling commercial doors and hardware. So like doors, hinges, locks, that kind of stuff. And doing good with that, doing really well with that. But it just like it wasn't what I always wanted to do, and I was good at it, and I was good at talking with the contractors. I'd gotten good at talking to people, and a lot of contractors are kind of butt heads, and I was bullied all my life, so I can you can yell at me and it doesn't really bother me. So I got to be where a lot of the contractors that nobody wanted to deal with, I would deal with them, and I would just mark them up more. And I made a good living because, all the hard to deal with contractors, I got all their business because, they could vent on me and I'd still show up the next day, so I did a pretty good with that. It just, a lot of things I went in one, I was a little too, I thought a little more highly. I kind of had struggled when I started getting self-confidence. I went a little too far the other way, and it really became arrogant for a while.
Yeah.
And so I really felt like I was more than I was. And the guy that owned that business, we became good friends, but we butted heads a lot because I felt like I was doing so much of the business, and he wasn't. Now, being a business owner myself now, I understand. And because I've dealt with the same thing with employees, I thought like I'm doing everything. Like you have no idea, buddy. And
nope,
I was like I know what you're saying because I was there. I was
that guy. Yep.
And I know exactly how you feel because I was there and I was wrong and you're wrong. And I wish I could go back and tell my younger self that because I had a great job, it paid well, but I thought I was bigger than I was and doing more than I was, and I kind of just pushed it too hard and ended up losing my job. And so, but when I did, again, a little bit of that. Arrogance. I ain't never working with anybody else again. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it on my own.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to start over, I'm not starting over down here in Panama City. I didn't like that area, so I'm going back up to Oxford. And so we moved back up here, and picked up my wife, my 2 young kids at the time, and came up here. We had a third boy soon after we got up here, and struggled trying to get my own business started.
Yeah.
When it caught and it started going, did really well with it, but it wasn't really, I wasn't really doing what I
wanted to do.
It just wasn't my calling. Wasn't what I just kind of like something I fell into, starting that gun store. I enjoyed it. I met a lot of great people, made a lot of good contacts, had a lot of fun with it. The customers are great. This town was awesome for me. There was a lot of things that were really blessings through that, and a lot of things that it took from me. It took a lot of my time. I missed a lot of my kids growing up. I do not like, as much as I love entrepreneurship, as much as I love owning my own business, as much as I want to see more people do it because of the joy and the freedom and just the satisfaction of having your own thing. Man, don't wait till you have kids to do it.
Yeah, it's a lot more.
That's something you start when you're young, so that you've got it established, and you're still going to have to put more time in than a regular job. Forever and always. It's going to be that way. But there's also opportunities to take more time off than a regular job. But the first 5 and really honestly 10 years of starting your own business, it's not the time to have a family. You're not going to have time for them if you want the business to be successful. Now I've had people like, oh no, look, you just put your family first and it'll work. No, I'm sorry. Business ownership, that if you don't give all your attention to the business, it won't grow. And if it's not growing, it will die.
Yeah.
And so is family important? 100%. Do I wish I spent more time with my family? Yes, 100% I do. Would the business have failed had I done that? Yes. But did part of my family fail because I did that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what am I saying here? Did you neglect your family and start a business? No. What I'm saying is start a business before you start a family.
Yeah.
And so that's a hard lesson to learn. And I really wish I had understood that more. I've had some way to, juggle that better in that time, but it's hard. It's really hard to put that time into. But when you're young, you don't have a family yet. Yeah, go out there, start a business, fail at it, start another one, fail at it. What's if you're 21 years old, 20 years old, 22, whatever, 30 years old even, and you start a business and you fail and you're completely out of money, you're broke. You got the rest of your life to make it back.
Yep.
You wait till you're 50 and you put everything into a business and you fail and now you're broke. Now you're starting over at 50.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have all that time anymore. So when you're young, give it a shot. You know,
Yep.
just find something like that you see, hey, here's a need here, let's do it, and try it. And so what if it fails miserably? You'll learn something from it. You'll be, if worst case, you'll be a better worker for the people you work for the rest of your life because you understand what they're going through.
Yep.
You know, and by being a better worker, you'll climb the corporate ladder a lot faster. You'll be appreciated more. You'll be accomplished more. You'll get paid more when you go back to working for someone else if you've run your own business before.
Yep.
And you appreciate what goes into that thing. And so absolutely. I love that. That was some great stuff with that business, and it's what brought me back here. But I was telling someone just earlier today how much getting rid of it was one of the best things I ever did for myself. It became my identity. You know, when people ask, hey, who are you? And I'm like, well, I'm Joshua Gregory. I own TCG Outdoors in the Range. You know, it was kind of like that's what I tied to. Or if I wasn't, that was, I'm married to Amber. I've got 3. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a business owner. And then even for like 5 years, I was a youth minister, mixed of all that. And when people said, "Who are you?" I would just name those things.
Yeah.
Well, that's not who I am. That's what I did. But because those things took up so much of my energy and my focus, that's who I identified as. I didn't really know, who I was. What do I really want? What's really going to make me happy? What's in a relationship? What do I want out of a relationship? What do I have to offer a relationship? What do I have to offer friendships? What do I want out of my friends? Do I even really have any close friends? Because I've spent my whole life just working and not building close friendships. And the older you get, the harder it is to build good close friendships.
Yeah.
And so last year, 2024, worst year on record. And that's not just like me, trying to be a sound point. But I mean, I sold the business. I went through a divorce. I stepped down from the church, going through the divorce and all that, just, as a youth minister. I moved out of the house. I was away from my kids. So everything that I labeled, hey, Josh, who are you? Everything that I used to identify myself was gone, and all within about 4 weeks of each other. Just
Wow.
done. Now who are you? Man, I don't have any idea. All right, let's figure it out. And so 2024 was a year of a lot of inner searching and a lot of, right, who am I going to be? Who do I want to be? Who am I? Who have I always been? And trying to figure that out. And it was man, I don't wish a year like that on anybody.
Yeah.
But it was the hardest, but probably the best year for me personally that I've ever had. And that's not to make light of any of the struggles I went through or any of the pain that I put myself or anybody else through in that, saying, oh, it was a great year. It wasn't a great year. It was a horrible year. But as far as good for me years, man, that, it broke me down so that I could start building back into something better. And it was tough, man. I went through, being bullied a lot growing up. I kind of got to the point where I just shut emotions off. And so I'm not going to say I was stoic, like, oh, nothing affects me kind of thing, because it did. But I can remember one time from the time I was like 12 until last year that I cried. And that's not men boast about it. I don't cry. But something's wrong with you, man. You got to let that stuff out. And the only time I remember crying in that time period was when my papaw passed away. And the reason being was he was the one that got me into flying. He took me up in a Cherokee 6 when I was 6 years old. And from that day forward, I was like, I'm going to be a pilot. He was an Air Force pilot, and flying was his passion. And then he had a heart attack when I was 11 and lost his medical. He couldn't fly anymore. And so, he would teach me, like Microsoft Flight Simulator. He'd buy the new one every year, have it on his computer. And just every time I'd visit, we'd sit on there with me with the joystick and the keyboard flying planes, and him teaching me and then helping me and teaching me how to land on it and teaching me how to do maneuvers and all that stuff. And it was just a game to me at the time. I didn't really understand how, I enjoyed it and I wanted to fly, but I didn't understand how important that was to him at the time, because his passion was teaching and flying, and he couldn't fly anymore. He was getting to teach me how to fly in that moment. I didn't really see that passion, didn't understand the connection of that passion until later in life. But I always told him, because he could fly, he could be in a plane, he's still a licensed pilot, but he could not fly solo or as the pilot in command because he couldn't pass the medical because of his heart attack. And so I was like, Papa, I'm going to be a pilot. I'll take you flying one day. We'll go back flying again. You know, I'm going to have my own plane. We're going to, that was always my dream. We're going to fly. Well, so it's been 6 years ago now. He passed away. And so when I got home, I just broke down. Man, that was and Amber was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I never took him flying. And it just, man, and then it waterworks. I'm choking up now. Just, you know, that was, and I couldn't, once it broke, I couldn't control it, man. It was just like, man, I hadn't cried in, 20 years, 25 years.
Wow.
And she'd never, obviously she'd never see me cry. And so it was just, I didn't know how to stop it. She didn't know what to do. It was just like, and that was probably good, but then I locked it back up again. Like, I didn't like that. Close those emotions back off. And, but 2024, man, I tell you what, there was a lot of time spent crying, a lot of time on my knees just moaning. Hey, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to pray. That's all I got for you, God. You got anything? You got any answers for this? I got nothing. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to talk to you. I don't know what's going on. And so, but again, on the positive side of that, it's when you go through that stuff, you let those emotions out. I don't think it's good to hold that stuff in. I don't think it's good to. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's healthy for your relationships to be that stoic and to not be able to open up in front of somebody and to have to pretend like you're strong or have to, like, honestly, I think the whole reason my marriage failed is because both me and her were pretending like something we weren't, trying to make the other one happy. Right? If I'm pretending like I'm tough and I can't be emotional, I'm not being the real me. That's not who I need to be for anybody in my life, for my friends, for my wife, for my kids, for anybody. Why should I be pretending to be something I'm not for somebody? And so that's a hard lesson to learn, especially when you learn it the way I had to learn it last year. Go back 20 years and tell myself, hey, dude, just be real.
Yeah.
I
was talking to a client today. It was interesting that you brought that up. Is one of her words that she's going to use for 2025 is take up space. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And she was just like, I don't take up space. I shut down my emotions. I let everybody else talk. I don't talk. I be a person that I'm not. Right.
Yeah, I don't get included. I'm there, but I'm not a part of it because I don't feel like I can be myself. So I just lock up and let them be themselves, and I don't. Yeah.
And we were talking earlier today too, and I learned this from I forget how I learned it. Holy Spirit, maybe. But basically was to build true confidence in somebody is not giving them compliments. It's confirming their reality when they're being vulnerable. That's how you build confidence in somebody. And so if somebody says, hey, when you use these words, for some reason this hurts my heart. And if you confirm that, like, I could understand why that potentially could hurt your heart. How do we go through that? That's how you build one's confidence. You don't build confidence by just complimenting them what they're good at.
Right.
They already know they're good at it. So you actually, how that is being portrayed is when you're doing that and you're saying that information to that person, it's remarkable because then they start to not second guess themselves. Oh, what I'm feeling is right. It doesn't mean that that person's wrong. It's just my emotional reports and what I'm feeling is actually telling me what is actually going on in my head. Right. And that's how you build confidence.
And you're complimenting them on who they are, not on what they do.
That's right.
At that point too, which again goes back we identify as what we do instead of who we are.
Yep.
Why? Well, because that's what people compliment.
Yep.
That's what, I got told all the time, hey, this store's great. Hey, I love this place. Hey, you're the nicest gun salesman I've ever met because I've, whatever. And so that became who I was. Well, that's not who I am. Mm-mm. It's just what I do.
Yep.
And so, but what is it they really liked? If people are complimenting, like, man, you really go out of your way to make people feel comfortable instead of saying, hey, you're a really good gun salesman. It's the same thing. Why was I a gun salesman? Because I go out of my way to make you feel comfortable and make sure that you get exactly what you want and not try to sell you something you don't need. But that wasn't where the compliments came, and that wasn't so. And I think the love language. Everybody's got this. What are the 5 love? Everybody.
Words, affirmation,
Yeah, and I think
physical touch.
words of affirmation, I think, is high on everybody's list, whether they think it is or not. You know,
I agree.
I think if you start there with anybody, even if that's not their primary, what they need as their biggest one, it will get you somewhere with everybody, because you can see it. And words of affirmation isn't a, CJ, you're a great coach. That's not words of affirmation. Hey, CJ, the other day when I was working out and you came over and you're like, man, you were progressing fast. Man, you've really gotten strong. I'm proud of what you've done. That meant a lot to me.
Yep.
That's words of affirmation, right?
Yep.
That's not telling you,
because you're noticing what they're putting in.
That's right. I'm not complimenting you on what you do. I'm complimenting on who you are. I'm telling you that you did something. Your person affected my person, and not like you did a good job making a sandwich today, kind of thing. Whatever, and so I've really tried to focus my what's the word I'm looking for? Compliments on people to that, and it's really hard.
Yeah,
because it's so easy to say thank you and leave somewhere. In fact, I came up with a game at Chick-fil-A, because Chick-fil-A, if you say thank you, they have to say
my pleasure.
My pleasure.
Yep.
Okay. So I try to be as thankful as I possibly can, over the top gratitude, without getting to my pleasure. It is so hard.
Yeah.
Because if you slip up and say thank you, it's happening.
Yeah.
So you can't say thank you. You have to be careful. Like, hey, I appreciate that, because sometimes that'll get like you have to put it in a way. Hey, you guys were really, really happy here today. That made me feel good. Just something about the way, man, it's crazy, and you're handling there's a lot of stuff going on. You're handling it really well. You're doing a great job. That means something to them. Saying, here's your food, thank you, but I got paid to hand it to you. You don't have to thank me for that. So why am I thanking you? I mean, it's what
you're paying for the service that I'm providing.
That's right. And I do think that, I've had a lot of bosses like, I pay you to work, I shouldn't have to tell you thank you. I'm like, yeah, but you have much difference it'll make. So there's, I'm not saying that I shouldn't have to thank you because you're getting paid for it, but if I'm thanking you for what you're getting paid for, there's no meaning to that, right? I should still be appreciative of the service you're doing, even though I'm paying for it, but it doesn't mean anything. Not doing it means something, unfortunately, but doing it is just like, yeah, you check the necessary box. You had to pay me. I had to give you the food. You had to appreciate it. We check those things. But if you appreciate something above and beyond, now you can change someone's day. And so I like it when I walk in a place and someone's having a bad day.
Yeah.
It's that challenge, right?
Yeah.
But, oh man, I may not be able to make it the best day ever, right? But can I give them some light today? Can I somehow turn around and just make them have a better day? And that's a lot of fun. But yeah, try the Chick-fil-A challenge now.
Dude, that is crazy.
You go in Chick-fil-A and just be the most thankful person you've ever met in your life. Find as many things you can to be appreciative of, and not getting any my pleasures. And it's so hard.
We should start a trend.
It's so hard. Yeah. So here it is. Like, this is when you see the new TikTok trend of, trying not to get thank yous, that, it started here with Joshua Gregory. So that's but it was just my way of forcing myself to be appreciative of things and show appreciation in a genuine way, not just saying thank you. I hate thank you. Thank you is like I love you, right? It's too overused.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to, if you say thank you, that's all I'm saying. I'm never saying thank you really and being serious about or specific about what I'm being thankful for. I'm just like, you did something, I said thank you, and I walked off. Was I really thankful? Yeah, not really. It's kind of like the, people that have been married for a long time, and one of them leaves out the work, says, I love you too, and you walk out. But was it really love there? Was that just because that's what we're supposed to say before we hang up the phone and before we walk out the door? Does it really have any meaning anymore?
Yeah.
It's a lot more than, hey, I love you and I love the way that you show up this way for me. Why now we're in something real. Same thing. Hey, thank you. All right. Hey, I appreciate you, and I appreciate the way you show up for me in this way. I appreciate how, even though you're tired, you always have a smile on your face. Or I appreciate how, you show up to work every day, and sometimes you may not be, on top of the world. Sometimes you may look, but you show up every day and you work hard. and I really appreciate that. Well, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
You know, so,
man, it's so. You know what's interesting too? This just crossed my mind as you were, for some reason, when you're saying compliments. I've learned just from just the sort of experience I've been doing podcasts now, is when you're hearing people's story on some of the things that they love, like spearfishing and flying, somehow those things got sorted to the wayside.
mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to notice a trend with that, of even with me and some of the things that I was passionate about. And then you talk to people who are older, like in their 70s and 80s, they're just like, you need to go where your passion is and you need to double down on it.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting how we wander from our passions, like flying and spearfishing, to a sense where we get away from that.
Taught that you have to work. You have to go to college. You have to get this kind of job. You have to have that. And even parents, we don't mean to, but we kind of pressure our kids because we want our kids to have a better life than we did. You know, and it's just natural. You want your kids to always have a better, even no matter how good yours was, you want your kids' life to be better. And so we push them sometimes into things, just like we will push them into things that aren't really, or our passion is. You know, now that's sometimes, if my passion is to do finger painting for a living, I hope you don't like to eat a lot and don't mind living in a cardboard box, because you're not going to make a living doing finger painting, probably, right? You know, so sometimes your passion doesn't need to be your job, but don't forsake it because of job or life, right? You know, so I'm not a big fan of the, like, hey, find the thing, your favorite hobby, and make a job out of it. Now it's not a hobby anymore, you know, and you're going to start, you know, not liking it.
Right.
You know, when I sold the gun store last March, I haven't shot since then. Yeah. Like, at all. And I don't hate it. I just I've just lost the real deep love for it. And now I'll get it back. I think I just needed to kind of take a break from it. But it kind of took I was doing it so much, it became a job instead of something I really enjoyed. I turned something I enjoyed into work. Well, you don't want to do that. Yeah. Now, if you can supplement a passion or have a passion be a part of what you do, you should be passionate about your work. But you need a passion that you can get away from work with. Otherwise, because that would happen. I would go up to the stores, even to go shooting, and like get there and see something needs to be done, and I'd work, and I wouldn't take that time from me, you know. And so you'll destroy your passion if you try to make a job out of it. So I don't like that. I wouldn't say to people to do that, but yeah, don't give up on it. You know, if you want to do something, figure out how to do it. Yeah. You know, I wanted to fly since I was 6. I didn't start till I was 42.
Isn't that crazy?
That's ridiculous. Why?
And you had that deep desire and feeling calling to do that.
Yes, that's what I always wanted my whole life. I always wanted to do it. And somehow I let 36 years of my life go by and not do it. And I can make excuses. Well, it's expensive and I couldn't start, or I was, whatever. I had a family and I needed to focus on, or I had a job, or I had to start my way. But it's all it is excuses.
It's like pick your heart. Either way, it's gonna be hard.
That's right. You know, exactly. If you really want to do something, you'll figure out how to do it. You know, I don't know that I completely agree with this, but there's a guy I watch him on TikTok that's just an entrepreneur guy. He's like, look, if you want to work hard and make, if you're in a sales job and you got to want to learn how to make more money, go buy an expensive car. Now you work harder because you got a car payment.
That's right.
You know, I'm not saying
but for certain people that'll help.
But then the mindset is there though. Look, I want to do this. Well, I can't afford to do this. Do it. You'll find a way.
Isn't that how the one of the Harry Potter books finished?
I don't know.
I think I could be wrong. So if somebody has a better story than me, but I think if I recall it right, one of the last series of the Harry Potter books, for her to finish, she bought one of the most expensive hotels at the top, so that way she could write and finish it. And she's like, all right, well, I have this amount of time, this amount of money spent in this hotel, and I got to finish
because I'm paying so much a night. I need to hurry. I got to focus and get it done so I can get out of here.
Yeah. I want to be the bestseller ever. So it's like, there is to that.
Right.
But I would say it's less than 10% of people.
Well, yeah. You got to be the right person.
You got to be an entrepreneur.
Don't be like, hey, I heard Josh say this one time about, I'm going to buy a Lambo, and then the first payment comes and I'm broke and I go, no. But if you've got a desire, it's just like when you start having kids, you're like, oh, I'm going to wait till I'm ready to have kids. Well, you'll never have any.
You'll never be ready.
You'll never be ready. You'll never be ready to be married. Nope. You'll never be ready for anything you do in life. If you're ready for it, you waited too long to start.
Yep.
And you're not going to have the same joy in it. And you're still not ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You won't be ready. You can't be ready for something you've never done before. It's, you've got to start and you got to make mistakes. And by making those mistakes, you're going to get better. And then and you're just never going to be ready for anything you do.
Nope.
That's just an excuse we use. You're like, well, when I'm ready for it, or if I'm more financially stable, or if I'm like, you never will be.
Nope.
So if you got a passion, find out, even if you got to do just a little bit at a time, like I should have just been, hey,
Just
once a
1%
month,
better.
I'm going to fly for an hour working on my school, and it's going to take me 4 years to do it. Okay. I could have done that.
Have a plan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Work towards it. But I now once I started, buddy, I jumped all in.
Yeah.
And it was that same kind of thing. Like, you know what? I put it off too long. I'm going to figure it out.
Yep.
And I was luckily at the time the business was doing really well and I was able to afford all that stuff. But I don't have a lot of things I call regrets in life, but one of them that's what I'm going to say minor regrets, because everything I've messed up in my life has made me a better person. And I understand nothing in life's perfect, and I'm always going to be making mistakes, and I'm always going to be failing, and that's how I get better at stuff. But I hate that I put off so long flying. How many blessings did I miss out on, and where could I be in it by now today? If I just started earlier, even if I started small earlier, because all the things I've been able to do in the last 4 years since I bought a plane to start flying, the experiences I've been able to have and the places I've been able to go and the things, getting to go spearfishing this weekend. I couldn't have pulled that off without, I'd be driving for the next 2 days to get down to the school in time to get there. I wouldn't have time to go all the way down to the Keys and spearfish for 2 days and come back. No, I'd miss out on that opportunity. And so go for it. You got something you want to do, figure it out. And again, especially when you're young, go for it. Fail. You got your whole life to fix it afterwards.
Yeah.
And then you'll learn. Maybe you thought that was a passion. You failed at it because you really weren't as passionate as you thought. And now you're not going your whole life wondering, could I have made it doing that? Or is that really my passion? So now my whole dream is to do that. And 40 years down the road, I'll start doing it and realize, oh, this is dumb. Why did I want to do that when I could have been working towards figuring out what my actual dream was? And so
it's crazy that you bring that and listen to you, because about a little over 3 years ago, I bought my first dirt bikes to go race and stuff. And for some reason, I had the deep desire to be like, hey, you need to go train for this. You really want to do this. You've been saving money. The business finally is doing well where you can actually afford it, not be in any debt. And it's so interesting that you say that, because I was like trying to explain to people why I was spending so much money to do this. And I was like, I don't know what it is. I just have a deep desire. This is where God wants me to be right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm just leaning into it. And it's so weird, because how much peace and freedom, and it's hard, it's challenging, because like I'm on a budget, and then there's only certain races I can go to because of the money, and because you can spend a lot of money. Flying,
sure.
you can spend, so I have to budget a monthly of what I'm going to be dirt biking, and then how I'm going to get better. But it's so interesting how when you have these deep desires, how I'm still kind of trying to comprehend this, because I'm going to all these counseling courses and stuff now to finish up my master's. But one is like, I really think it stems in the branch of just fearing man. And I'm starting to realize that, because I'm fearing everything that could potentially go wrong and making excuses, which I think my heart is oriented towards man and not towards God. Like, oh no, God will get me there. He'll help me to figure out a way. But that wasn't my mindset. It was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do, it's like, it's so interesting how I'm starting to see that.
Fear
I don't know. Do you feel like that's
so
that
much?
trend?
Yeah. I think people use fear as an excuse. If you can break free of being scared to fail, and embrace failure,
because failure is not your identity.
You're going to fail. Yeah, it's not your identity. You failed. So did everybody else. And what makes you look like a failure is dwelling on a failure or trying to hide a failure.
Yeah.
When you embrace a failure and you talk about your failure, nobody goes, he's a failure.
No.
They go, look how he's recovered from it. So, which is what's the word I'm looking for or whatever. But you bounced back. That's who you're identified as.
The rebound or whatever.
Fail all the time. In fact, look, if you're not failing, you're just not trying hard enough.
And I didn't realize this too. I don't know if you noticed this, but since me and you have been both entrepreneurs, I didn't realize how people are scared of entrepreneurship.
Oh, it scares the mess out of most people. I do not think entrepreneurship is for everybody. I don't think it's for most people. I think it's for a very, very small portion of people. Now, I think there's people that it's for that they don't think it's for them. Like, I think there's some people that let fear keep them from doing what I think their heart really wants to do. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people that it's not for them, you know, and that can be tough. Amber, my ex-wife, it was not for her, and she did not like it. And she was supportive, but also she hated it. And so there was this, you know, she just despised the business because it wasn't a steady income. It wasn't a guaranteed income, right? At any time, we could have a bad month, or we could have a good month, or we could have that unknown, she was not able to be comfortable with, which I understand. Now, I didn't know how to handle that, and I didn't handle that well, right? Because I wish I had somebody that had been through something similar to kind of coach me through that, but I didn't. And so that was a big source of contention in our marriage. And so that's something you got to understand. Again, start that before you get married. And now when you're meeting people, if it scares them off, well, then great, because if that's who you are, that you're not going to be a great fit. Yeah. And so you learn that without destroying a relationship with it. But yeah, try it. I read a great book. I think it was in 23. Like, when I read this one, but Go for the No. Have you heard of this book?
Yeah.
Oh, and the whole point is, like, you just try to get people to say no to you, right? And because it takes so many no's to get a yes.
Yep.
So don't get down from the no's. Just go for them. Every time you get a no, you're one more closer to getting a yes. Yep. And don't be offended by the no. Right? Cool. I knew that was going to happen. And that's a sales book in but in life, go for the failure. Push as hard as you possibly can until you fail.
Yeah.
And then learn from it, pick it up, push as hard as you can until you. And good grief, the gym. If that's not a perfect analogy for that, you want your muscles to get bigger. You don't just go in there and do an easy workout. You push, and if you're able to finish that last rep, you didn't push hard enough.
Yep.
You go for one more. Well, we're doing sets of 10. Would you do 3 sets of 10? Yeah, then you didn't do enough. Mm-hmm. Push harder. You push till failure. When you fail, now you come back stronger.
Yep.
You're never going to come back stronger not failing. And, man, that's a really, really tough mindset in life to live, right? I'm just going to fail all the time. But the more you fail, the easier it is, because you don't define yourself by them anymore. Right? When you fail enough, you realize, well, that doesn't define me. What defines me is how I recover from them. What defines me is who I am now after the failure. I've failed so many times in my life. I've made so many big mistakes. I've been defeated so many times in my life. Again, I grew up getting bullied. So when I finally learned, you can't let what people think about you define you, because then you'll stay down there all the time. You can't let someone beating the crap out of you define you, because it's going to always happen. And when you finally start standing up for yourself, and you just become a better person now. So yeah, all those failures made me as strong as I am today. Thank God for those failures. Thank God for those hard years. That's because I'm not scared of that anymore. I'm not scared of somebody trying to push me around and bully me around. If you want to bully me around, good luck.
Yeah.
I've had people in business. I've had people that try to, like, you picked the wrong guy, dude. I have well trained in getting bullied.
That's right.
And you're not very good at it. Okay.
I've been third tier, buddy.
That's right, buddy. I tell you, I know how to handle this now. And you've just been pushing people around your whole life, but you never run anybody like me, and I'm not going to get pushed around. And that's not boastful. That's not me saying like it, but I mean, I just because I've gone through all that, it just doesn't. You handle things differently. So yeah, go for those failures. Someone's mean to you. Cool, great. How can you react to that? How can you get something good out of the end of that?
And what's crazy too is I didn't realize how much, because I feel like entrepreneurs, we're always stuck in our own head about the fear of failure, of how much people, even though they don't say it, how much they respect for us. They're just like, that Josh, CJ, that's scary starting your own business. I don't know how they do that. I didn't realize how many people think of us that way.
And they project their own fears onto you sometimes.
Yeah. They're just like, dude, man, that's crazy. I'm just like, they actually are scared too.
And when you're starting with, they're trying to talk you out of it.
Yeah.
Oh man, but they'll list every possible thing that could go wrong.
Yep.
I mean, which it's helpful, like, because sometimes I didn't think about that, so I need a plan for that.
That's right.
So I don't take that when I'm looking at something, man, please tell me everything you think can go wrong, because I have a habit of best case scenarioing things, I'm going to do this, and this is how it's all going to work. And then someone will say something like, All right, so how do I defend against that? You know,
Yeah.
and someone like, gummit. You know, sometimes you're like, you know what? I can't do this. You know, there's more. You know, so I don't mind when people come at me with negative thoughts towards something I want to do. I appreciate it. Now they may not be doing it for that purpose. They're doing it because they're projecting their own fears onto you because that's something they can't handle on their own. But yeah, you can't let that deter you. I mean, if you got somebody that's got a lot of wisdom in something, you know, if I'm trying to start my own gym and I'm like, so TJ, I'm thinking about I'm going to buy like one of those little sheds at Home Depot and I can put a gym in it and I'm going to do membership. You can be like, Josh, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
You know, well, but it will. Like, Josh, I own a gym. I've been through this stuff. You put them in the shed, nobody's going to show up. Right? That's not going to work. If you want to make it work, you need to look more this way. You know? Yeah. So there's definitely people out there with wisdom. And just because you have an idea that may not be right, someone can help you. Someone maybe you may just be like, you know, not a super helpful person. Like, that's a stupid idea. And now when I even tell me, well, you know why, but you're not telling me, you know, you can't take the negatives as a reason to stop, but it gives you a chance to look at things from a different perspective. You know, people have insight, even if, you know, it scares them, but sometimes their insight can help you. Oh man, how can I make this better?
Yeah.
You know, and by anything you do, you're trying to help people. So if they've got something nervous about it, well, what makes you nervous about this thing? What would be better about this or make you appreciate this thing? So now because I'm not starting a job for me. I'm not starting a business for me. I'm starting a business for other people. Now I'm going to reap the benefits of making money off of it. But if it's the business is just to help me, I won't make money off of me. Business to help you. So I want feedback from people. I want people to tear it apart. Tell me what's wrong with it. Tell me.
And I think that's good to say too. Is like, just because you get feedback from people and it's mostly negative, it's actually technically, in a way, not all, but in a way, positive, because it helps you strategize towards worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So you can get a big picture.
That's right.
You got to be a little too optimistic to start a business.
Oh, yes. If you're not optimistic, you're not an entrepreneur. We just be like, the whole world's going to work out great. Didn't you just barely survive a nuclear blast? Yeah, this is my last business idea, but this one's going to be. It's just where we. Yeah, that's part of our mentality. I think is that we can accomplish anything. Just give me some time and I'll make it work.
Yep.
And we do. We just don't. It's almost never what we started off with,
that's
right? But we'll get there, and that's the fun of it. I think is the failure and the turns and the differences. Just the rolling with the punches and seeing where you end up, and it's exciting, but it's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. Jumping out of an airplane is exciting, but it's not for everybody.
It's not exciting for everyone to go spearfishing.
No,
people get scared of that.
No, some people don't want to sit on a boat on top of the water. Some people don't want to snorkel on top of the water because it's too deep. Then it's not exciting. It's deathly afraid of this, and I don't like it, and I'm not happy, and I want to be back on land. I get that. That's fine.
Yep.
It's not for everybody.
Since you own a gun store, you've probably done so much research on guns. What to buy, what sells. Owning a gun store, what gun do you feel like you got your biggest profit all the time, every time you sold it?
Well,
it's like, man, these guns sell.
AR-15s, and the reason being is because it's like a Lego set, or like some people say Barbie for men, right? Because there's so many accessories. Because guns, and there's no money in guns. The very, very low markup, because every website's got them marked up for barely over dealer cost, sometimes below dealer cost, because they're buying so many of them, they can get them cheaper than you can. So when you sell the gun itself, you're not making hardly anything. But when you're able to sell a bunch of stuff with that, now you're making a little bit more on this item, making a little more on this item, and all those little pieces of profit add up to something in the day. But that was a very low profit business. You had to do a lot of sales to make profit.
So basically, what I've noticed in this too, and you can speak on this, is you're really selling the experience, because most bigger businesses have lower markups than you. It's really they're buying it the relationship. And you're just selling
the reason I was not the best price around. I wasn't like astronomically high. Like I was very fair priced. But people were like, "Hey, can you match this price?" I'm like, man, I can't. I just can't, and I won't. I've got a certain amount I'm going to make. I'm not, and it's fair, and nobody. I've never been accused of not being fair. Not the cheapest, yeah, not. But and I had a thing. A lot of times I would say to the right people, because it wasn't. Some people could probably take it wrong, but I'm like, I'll match their price when they match my service. You're not just buying the item from me. You're buying my knowledge to help you find the right item. You're buying the fact that, if you have any issues with it, come back here, I will help you with it. Well, most people are going to just send you off somewhere else. And you're buying the fact that you know, I treated you respectfully when you came in here. I remember you. I'm friendly. I talk with you. You're buying again. Yeah, the experience of coming into my store and dealing with me, and having a friend in the business rather than a no-name internet sale thing, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, and you should be able to charge a little bit more for that. Again, there's some places that charge way too much, and they're not even giving that kind of stuff. And I don't know how they get business. I don't know why people still go back there to those kind of places. But the yeah, it was a fun business, and having the range helped a lot because after I paid for all the dirt work and everything, that's when you give me money for that, there's no real cost in that. Small upkeep, but so it's a better profit markup.
Was it hard to upkeep the range?
Just the constant work. It wasn't hard. It was just always something. We basically dug a big hole for it, and so you had to worry about washouts and roads washing out. So it was a lot of every year you're doing dirt work to keep things repaired. So there was cost in that, but the margin
there's really
was
no
good.
way to mitigate the rain, is there?
Man, the way I had that place set up, because it was a big gully when I bought it, there really wasn't. If you were out somewhere where you had thousands of acres and just big flat land and you just push dirt berms up, oh man,
It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, that'd be super easy. Here in Oxford, Fayette County, where it's all gullies,
So it's better to find flat land, throw up some dirt behind the bullets, and you're better.
Yeah, and have lots and lots of land past it, and that's yours, so you don't have to worry about things skipping over and that kind of. So we had to put a deep hole with really high berms just to make sure we kept everything in there. So it was a lot that went into that, and hindsight, that was probably a very, very difficult business for me to start and run and do well in, and I learned a lot from it, and I did well with it, and I hope it continues to do well. I hope that 5-10 years from now I look back and that store is massive, and I can just I started that, but this guy blew it up. That's awesome. I really. I don't want to go anywhere. I want a place where I can go shoot. I want a place where where I can go when I want something to have a local store that I know the people and I can go buy from. So, there would be the coolest thing for me to be to go back and see that place. Like they've torn the building down and put something bigger because they were growing so much. That would mean a lot to me to see that kind of thing happen out there. But
what would you say the best, or what do you think, all around gun for concealed carry?
Man, that's
easy, that's slim,
there's not
that's
really
reliable.
That's a great question with no real answer, because I wish that there was hey, this is the best gun for concealed carry, and I would keep it on a little podium with light shining on it, and every time I lift the little glass lid off, angels would sing, and they'd be buy the gun and leave, and it wouldn't take me any work to sell you a gun. But the fact is, everybody's different.
Yeah,
your body shape is different, your hands are different, the way you're going to carry it's different. What you like aesthetically is different. So when you're looking for a carry gun, the things I tell people is, first I got to know how you plan on carrying it. If you're going to carry it, on your ankle, you don't need a big Desert Eagle. It's not going to fit down there, right? It's depending on how you carry it, it may limit the size of the gun we're able to use.
What is that? What do you feel like the most efficient way to carry a gun is?
And again, that's going to come
just
down
out residential.
To conceal it, you're going to want to be in. As a guy, it's pretty inside the waistband in a holster.
Usually better
anywhere from behind your hip to just in front of it, or some people will carry appendix in the very front. That's going to conceal it easily and still be quick and easy to get to. So for most men, that's the best way to carry.
Now, why do people put it on their ankle then?
Because it's easy to conceal. So, and it's out of the way. So putting it inside your waistband. If you're dressed like I am today with a nice tucked in shirt and you completely don't want to, it's something that's a little harder to conceal. You got to go with a much smaller gun. It's a little harder to conceal, and your shirt's tucked in around it. It's a little slower to get to it. On my ankle, it's lift my leg and go for it. And so I'm not a huge fan of ankle rigs just because it's out of the way to get to it too. But it's a way to do that. There's so many ways to carry. There's no one perfect way for everybody. And again, there's no one perfect gun. It comes down to, you're going to buy a bunch of holsters. Yeah. When you start carrying a gun, you're going to buy a bunch of different holsters. You're going to have a drawer full of them that you didn't like.
Yep.
Just the way it is. I mean, if money wasn't a factor, you'd have a garage full of dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't really like this one. We tried this one. I didn't really like this one. If money wasn't a factor, you buy a bunch of them. Luckily, holsters don't cost that much, so you can try a bunch of them, right? So, and a lot of people have a lot of different handguns because they just go buy what their buddy said they needed. They go to the range and didn't like it.
it.
So what I tell people go, and what I would do when people would come in, when I had the stores, I'd say, hey, look, I'm just going to start setting guns on the counter. And I want you to make 2 piles for me. I want you to make a ooh pile and a pile. Right? I just want you to pick it up and tell me what it feels like in your hand and your first reaction to that gun. If it feels good and your first reaction is good, stick it in this pile. If you just don't like the way it feels, if it's just something in your gut says, I don't want you like this for any reason, stick it in the other pile.
Yep.
I don't care if this gun is the whatever. Every gun magazine in the world said it's the best concealed carry gun in the world, and every super secret ninja Navy SEAL uses it. If it doesn't feel good in your hand, put it down. That's not the right gun for you. And then of course now you need to start from make sure they're not sticking anything that's garbage on the counter, right? It's a good quality brands, but you put your hand on it, and the guns don't have to be $800 to be quality. A good carry gun's going to run $300 to $600 for most of them somewhere, which,
it's a good gun to carry.
Look, at the end of the day, $300 versus $600 that you're buying this thing because you want to defend your life with it one day. Does it really matter?
Yeah.
Right. Nobody's ever been in a shooting and go, I wish I saved a little bit of money on that gun. Or I wish I saved a little bit of money on that ammo. Right.
That's right.
So I understand budgets, but you don't cheapen your thing. If you were buying a car and they're like, hey, we have 2 seatbelt options available, one that's really good and one that, sometimes works, but it's cheaper. You want that one? Like, no, give me the good one. I'll pay the little extra, right? Yeah. But with the guns, people don't tend to not think that way. The dealer typically isn't making any different money, so he doesn't care if you buy a $300 gun or $600 gun. He's making pretty much the same amount of money on both of them, for the most part. There. Yeah. And so, but find out which one feels good in your hand, and then you kind of narrow down. Like this one's going to be too big to carry. The way I want to carry, whatever. You kind of narrow it down that way, and then. Look at what do they look like. And once I get it narrowed down to, hey, this is 3 or 4 that feel really good in my hand. Right? Which one do you think looks the best to you? And people look at me funny when I say that, but with a lot of things in life, the more you like the way something looks, the more comfortable you are with it. That's why when we go out on a date, we dress up nice. Yep. It's once we look good for the person, but when we look good, we have more confidence. That's right. If I went on a date in a ratty T-shirt
and a stain on it, you're self-conscious the whole time.
Or just I'm walking in and I realize there's a stain right here, man. I'm not going to be myself. Yep. I'm not going to because I don't feel good about the way I look. Yep. And so it's the same thing. The gun, you want to be confident in the way it looks. I like the way this one looks. That's very, very, very important. More important than most people put credence into. Yeah. I like the way it looks. This thing looks cool. Good. Does it feel good in your hand? Yes. Does it look cool? Yes. It's probably going to be the perfect gun for you, right? The odds of it not being a good gun for you, may not be the absolute best one, but not being one that you can work really well with, it's going to be fine. Now, I'll find out that it's chambered in, 50 BMG or something. You can't handle the recoil in it. Well, now we got to step down. But, That's funny. Yeah, it's and that brings you to that, well, what caliber should I get? It doesn't matter, man. The pistols, they're all horrible at stopping attackers. I know that sounds bad because aren't I buying this gun to stop an attacker? Yeah, but that bullet has no stopping power. It's a myth. You're not stopping an attacker by the bullet killing that attacker. In fact, most handgun altercations, the people don't end up dying. That's right. They're stopping because they realize they didn't want to be in the fight anymore. That's right. Something my dad, I told you, my dad was a Marine colonel, infantry officer. A lot of things I learned from him from growing up. One is like, you don't win fights physically, you win fights mentally. Yeah, you don't win fights physically, you win fights mentally. The only way to physically win a fight is to kill the person. That's right. But how many fights do you see that end with someone dead? They don't, right? Or knock them out or something like that.
Right. But that's rare.
But even that, I like watching UFC. I couldn't tell you the fighters' names, but I just like watching people punch each other in the face, right? And it's great. And the most exciting things we see someone just lights out. Yep. Oh, that's amazing. But how often do you see that? Rare. Yeah. I'd pay a lot more for the fights if I knew it was going to happen more, because that's what we want to see. Yep. We don't want to see some guy tapping out. That's boring. That's lame. Like, you've been training for 6 months for this fight and you're tapping out? Come on, man. This is your job to stay in there and fight, And I mean, I'd be tapping out too. But, the thing is, why did he tap out? He wasn't mentally. He said, I can't beat this guy. Yep. I give up. And so all that handgun's doing is giving you a mental advantage over your opponent. Right? It's giving them one more reason to think they cannot defeat you, and so they want to give up. And so when you start punching holes in them, they start losing confidence in the fact that they can win this fight and they want to give up. But if you start watching videos on shootings, it's very, very rare to see someone go down. Most of the time they run away. It's because they don't want to be in the fight anymore.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter what caliber you're shooting at them, right?
As long as you have one that's comfortable.
If it's reliable, you like it feels good in your hand, you like the way it looks, and you can control the recoil of that gun and shoot accurately and quickly with it. I don't care what caliber it is.
Yeah.
So I don't care what brand it is. Again, as long as it's in that reliable category.
That's right.
So,
what are some of the guns that people buy a lot that are just not reliable? That you feel like, why do you keep buying
Well,
this?
there's all these guns that come out that are like $200, and they look good, and some magazine will do a review on them, because they got paid to, and it's just and if it looks too good to be true, it's
probably too
good.
It's like anything else, huh?
Yeah. And there's some of them that turn out to be, decent, but again, it doesn't take that much more to get into something that's got a reliable, proven track record, and it's And again, I don't want to name a brand that I'm like, oh, you should get this, because I really don't think so. That's
what do you carry?
So when I owned a gun store, you didn't want to carry I didn't want to just carry like a Glock 19, which is a very, very popular gun, because it doesn't help me sell anything. So the dirty little secret of being a gun store is you want to carry a very expensive gun with a lot of accessories that you can sell other people, right? Because people ask, what do you carry? And then they want what you carry. And if they can't afford what you carry, they'll get something that's so I'll preface my answer with that. So I carried a gun that's much nicer, much more expensive than you need as an everyday carry gun. But my everyday carry gun is a Wilson Combat 1911. It's the EDC line, which is actually a 9mm double stack 1911. So it's 18 plus 1 9mm full size 1911, but it's not. The grip is as thin as a standard single stack 1911, and I'm a big fan of that platform. So I love the way that platform looks. I love the way it shoots. The trigger feels great on that platform, and so I'm just a 1911 guy. And so that's what I felt comfortable carrying, and it's got a red dot optic on it, so I shoot really fast with it. And I justified that gun for because it's a very, very expensive gun, more than I really should have paid for a gun if it was just me concealed carrying. Like, I wouldn't say, do you need that? No. So I justified it because, again, if I carry an expensive gun, I sell more expensive guns. I wanted to shoot competitively, and I needed a nicer gun than just a basic gun to do some of the competitions I wanted to do. And so I used I wanted to train, compete, and carry with the same gun. So I'm confident with it. So that was my competition gun. That was my personal carry gun. And I wanted to have a high magazine capacity because I was on church security team too. And when I taught concealed carry, I told people, look, your job is to get away from a fight, right? You don't need typically a high capacity magazine, because if you're still there 18 rounds in, you did a horrible job of getting away from that fight. Right? Yeah. When something happens, you don't have to win the fight. You have to get away from the fight. That's winning. Go home. You want to be a hero? Go walk through your front door.
Yep.
The most important thing you do every day is walk through your front door.
Yep.
Don't stay in a fight that might take you away from walking through your front door. There's no reason to. It doesn't matter how bad that person is. That's not your job. Your job is to be a husband and a father, friend, whatever you are. Go walk through your front door. Yep. That's the most important thing you're going to do all day. So you don't need anything, you don't carry 4 magazines with you and have high, because if you do, that's because you're saying you want to stay in a fight, and that's a bad mentality to have. That's not your job.
You're just doing, like you said, just to scare away.
That's right. Yeah. How do I get away from this fight? How do I go home? I mean, anytime you're in anything, my mindset is not how do I win this fight. My mindset is how do I go home?
Yep.
Right. I could, in the world's eyes, lose that fight where I was the coward that ran away to my door, and my kids gave me a hug when I got home.
Yeah.
All right, I won. But when you're on a church security team, well, now you said, hey, you guys' safety's in my hands. I will stay in the fight until I know every one of you is safe. You need a little more magazine capacity. So I kind of used that because I carried a standard 1911 full size and a 45 for the longest time. Not because I think 45 is great, but that's because really all 1911s came in for the longest time. And they weren't real reliable in the 9mm at first. And
now, how much did your nice concealed gun cost you?
About $4,000 into that thing. Yeah.
I figured it'd be around 4 or 5.
Yeah. And so that's with the the gun and the optic, and got the flared mag well and stuff.
Yeah.
All the little fun stuff with it. So
that's crazy.
And
what color was it?
it's just black.
Just
black.
black.
It's not. It's a good looking gun. But it's not like fancy shiny or anything. It's just a workhorse of a gun, and I really like it. And if you have the money to spend, I reckon it's a great gun. Really, really good gun. It's lighter than my single stack 45 was, and it carries more ammo. Now it's big and not very easy to conceal, but when you're working at a gun store, I open carry. I'd be tucked in polo shirt, open carry, because I'm in a gun store. It doesn't matter. And then if I went out to Kroger or something afterwards, yeah, you can legally open carry, but I don't like making people nervous. I don't have a problem. I just untuck my shirt and leave an untucked shirt over top of it, and nobody could tell I was carrying. And so, yeah, now that I don't have the gun, I've been looking at going to something smaller, but
do you still have your?
I still have it.
Nice.
And so I've actually got a 45 model 1911 I custom designed, and a buddy of mine, Tim Thompson, that builds custom automatics in Shelby. Give a big shout out to him. He is in my opinion, the best 1911 Smith in the nation. Guy's
really?
Amazing. Builds a phenomenal, custom built ground up 1911. And so I wanted one that was a little more on the tactical side. I wanted to put a red dot on it. I wanted a rail on it so I can put a light and maybe an infrared laser to run with night vision. And I wanted a threaded barrel where I could suppress it. And I wanted a little something I can go out and take care of problems in the dark, in the quiet. His guns were match grade, not meant for that. But he makes such a good 1911. Look, I just want one, I got a Wilson Combat, but I want something that's makes that thing look like it's garbage. I want one really nice 1911. So when I sold the business, as I knew that was coming, that was my kind of one of my presents to myself for that. I'm like, hey, I designed it, sat down, we looked at all the different things he was going to need to do to make changes to his, top tier line he had already. He got real excited about it, and he's making 4 of them. I've got 2 of my buddies that are getting 2 of them. I'm getting one. He's gonna put one on his shelf.
What?
And so
you got to send me a picture when it's.
So he's been sending me videos of because he's doing all his own CNC machining on stuff, and he does hand fits everything, and hand polishes it all to make it fit. And so I'm getting pictures and videos as it goes. I'm really, really excited about that. And it'll be. Do I need that gun? No, but it's people always ask me, man, you got a gun store? I bet you got hundreds of guns. I'm like, no, I've got, maybe 12 or 15.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything cheap.
Yeah.
All my stuff is, most of my stuff is custom built. Because I'll have a purpose and I'll build a gun for that purpose. But I'm not one to have just ooh, that's a cool looking gun, I want it. It just doesn't. That was never my thing.
Yeah.
So, and I like stuff that's not like everybody else's. I want my stuff to be a little bit, which is the fun thing about the AR again, because it's uniquely yours. You can make it. But so I'm excited about getting that. It should be getting close, maybe another month or so, and they'll be ready. But it's been almost a year process.
Dude, you have to let me see that thing.
Yeah, we'll go shoot it when I get it in. We'll go. It's a.
Because I want to go flying with you too.
Yep. Yes, please. And I tell people, I say it to people a lot, and I think because a lot of people say things and they don't really mean it, but I really one of my favorite things to do is to take people flying.
Yeah.
And so it's because a lot of times I've got to fly, I've got to build hours, and a lot of times I go flying just because I need to do some flying today, and I'm out there by myself. And I've seen all the sites around here. I'm just kind of flying, or maybe I'm doing some prep.
About that. We could fly around Oxford and just see everything.
Just look at Oxford from there.
All the properties have gates up. We'll fly over there.
It's so much different from the air, and you see things like, well, where did that neighborhood come from? Or I didn't know there was a lake over here, or I didn't know that.
I didn't think about that.
There's so much you see you don't realize, and so it's just different, and I love it. And if I tell people, if you come up with me, you're gonna fly a plane. You're going to hold the yoke. I'm going to let go of the yoke, because it's just people think flying a plane, oh no, that's too hard. I can't do that. Flying a plane is super easy. Controlling it in heavy winds or knowing what to do in an emergency, that's stuff you got to practice.
Right.
Learn how to land it without smashing on the ground, killing everybody. That's something you got to practice, right?
Yeah.
But up in the air, 5,000 feet up, flying, anybody can do that. My 10-year-old's done it, right? It's not, you can do it. And it's fun to see that in people when they realize, holy crap, I'm flying an airplane.
Yeah.
That's not something you ever thought you'd even put on your
Radar,
checklist, much less check it off of your checklist,
Yeah.
And like maybe I get to go up in a plane one day. Never did I think I'd get to go up there, do turns, do, climb, descend, like, oh, well, look at all the stuff I'm getting to do, Yeah, it's so fun, So I love that.
I totally forgot to ask you this. If you had to pick 3 guns, right? 3 guns to protect your house from home invaders. What are the top 3 guns you want in your house to protect?
So I'm a big fan of the AR platform. First step, I'm not a big fan of handguns aside from carrying because they're small. But handguns are weak. We talked about that. Like they just don't physically stop attackers. A rifle round is devastating. Speed kills. So the handgun round is just going too slow, does not have enough energy with that. A rifle round has exponentially more energy than a handgun round and does a lot more damage. You have to worry about things like penetrating through walls and that kind of stuff. There are some things to worry about, but if I'm at home by myself, I'm taking a rifle. Now, shotgun, devastating. Shotgun's got a lot of recoil. I'm 150 pounds. I'm a small guy. 12 gauge knocks me around a lot, especially with defensive rounds in it. And so I'm not very fast with that. And it's not a very precision thing. And my mindset is more of a precision minded. I'm not a shoot in the general direction. I'm a shoot at someone's button kind of thing. And a shotgun is not even like some people are like, oh, you just point in the general direction, pull the trigger. Across a room in a house, your spread's in most things maybe 4, maybe 6 inches. It's not like you're hitting the entire wall on the other side of the room, right? Which people have this mindset of, I can just point in the general direction, I'm going to hit them. That's not the case. If that was the case, bird hunting would be so much easier, right? It's not the case. And so I don't hate a shotgun, but it's not for me. But an AR platform, short, suppressed.
All right, so we got AR. 2 others.
Well, I mean, if I had to go, it would be AR, shotgun, pistol. If I was going to go,
okay.
For like the
order. So you got your one carry-in. You got your
So like I carry my carry gun when I come home comes out when I get in the bed and I put it in a little handgun safe next to my bed. And I don't keep that. Is really what I've always kept as my home defense because I just don't like keeping guns laying around everywhere.
That's
right. Even though my kids know how to use guns, they know how to be safe around guns. Having guns that are loaded and laying around is a liability. They have friends that come over. I have friends that come over.
That's right.
And everybody's got a stupid friend.
Yep.
And so I don't want to get shot with one of my guns. I don't want my kids to get shot with one of my guns. And so there's a whole, my gun's locked up. It takes long to get to it. But if it's out, to me, I think the liability is higher than the odds of someone breaking into my house and me needing to get that gun 2 seconds faster are a lot lower than the odds of somebody that shouldn't have access to my gun gaining access to it because it wasn't locked up and an accident happening. There's more danger in that and allowing that to be an option, in my opinion, than there is in keeping a gun locked up.
Yeah.
So now my safe is a little 4-button. Type of code in. I can get in the safe in a couple seconds. I mean, it's not. Now, if I had a dial safe where I'm trying to, no, that's not where I'm keeping my gun. Mm-mm. But if I want to keep a firearm loaded, it's going to be locked where nobody but me can get to it. And so that's, and I feel very strongly about that. So that makes, the handgun a little easier to lock up. But yeah, if you're like Josh, you're getting in a gunfight today. What are you taking? I'm going to take an AR platform.
Yep.
Because I'm very comfortable with it. And I'm very quick with it, and it's not a big round, so it's not like this whole there are much more powerful guns out there. All my hunting rifles much more powerful, but it's just quick, and so in a defensive.
That's what I've noticed when I shot the AR. I was like, man, this thing is just lethal.
Yeah,
the way it doesn't have big recoil. It's quick.
It's easy to control. There's no recoil. Even a kid can use it effectively with some practice. It's a very good defensive tool. It's a very good offensive tool. That's why our military is still using it. Now, is it kill enemies instantly? Because that round is a very light bullet. No, typically it doesn't. It's a pretty anemic round as far as rifles go. but I'm not in combat fighting against someone that's been trained to continue fighting even once they've been shot.
That's right.
Right. So in combat, is that round weak? Yeah, I would prefer a round a little stronger in combat. In anything I'm going to be involved in as a civilian, that's all I need.
Yeah.
And so, because again, I'm not trying to, I don't care if the guy lives or dies that I'm fighting. I just want to make sure I go home safe. Or if I'm in my home, that I stay safe in my home, that my family stays safe. That's if you're going to say ideal, I hope the guy gets injured enough he can't leave, and I get to share the gospel with him while he's laying there, and paramedics working on him. That's the now. If I don't get a chance, that was your choice, buddy. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But I really don't have that. The feeling that you need to be dead because you put me in danger. Unless you're an octopus, and then we got I don't put up with their crap anymore. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's I will go out of my way to kill an octopus now. That's
I was still cracking up. You on the surface, and then you just had to eat its head. That is so funny to me. All right. So when in 2024 you went through a divorce, what do you think you wish you would have knew now? I mean, back then, what you know now. Because I think relationships, everyone struggles with relationships. And I've noticed I can give somebody the best fitness program, the best nutrition protocol, but if they have really bad boundaries within their relationships, they cannot make
because mentally your body won't, if you're in a bad place mentally, it doesn't matter what you do, your body won't get better.
Yep.
And so, that absolutely, you're right.
Yeah. So what did you learn about overall relationships just in general?
Man, and it seems so cliche, but be true to yourself. And the problem, I think why most people aren't true to themselves isn't because they don't want to be. It's because they haven't taken the time to figure out what that means. Right? Who really am I? Because they, again, define, like we talked about earlier, define themselves by what they do or by what people think about them, not about, what they want to be as a person. And there's a difference in that. Yeah. And that was a very hard thing. That's something I struggled with last year because, man, I had, early last year, I was shaking my fist at God. You took everything from me. Everything I define myself as is gone. And I was, in my brain, I was not doing anything deserving of losing all of that. I was working for you. I was in ministry. I was going overseas and spreading the gospel. I was praying and Bible studying and Bible and journaling and prayer journaling and I was and then if you took all that from me now, that's a whole, I guess we can get that in a little bit. Right, but as far as with the what do you do in a relationship is know who you are, know what you want, and then express that. Don't so many times we're like, someone will do something that hurts you, and then you're like, I'm going to talk to them about it tonight. You come home and everybody's in a good mood, and you're like, I don't want to bring it up because we're all smiling right now. So you kind of repress it. But the problem is you didn't deal with it, and it's still there. Well, then now 2 days later, she gets mad at something you've done, and she brings it up. And so what are you about to do?
Bring it up.
Now you're bringing that up. So now neither one of these issues is going to get fixed because all you did was, you. Well, what did we accomplish here? We just told each other we didn't like each other. That's what we accomplished. Are we closer to each other now because of that? Not at all. In fact, we've just pushed each other away. And so if we can learn, like, all right, you just did something that really hurt me. Now, it may not be wise to say it right now because I may need to kind of deal with it and calm myself down, and that's fine. But I can come back and say, hey, look, I don't want to ruin the mood here, but I want us to be stronger and I want us to be close to each other. And if you don't understand how you hurt me, then, you do it again on that. And even I've learned to give people an out. Sometimes you're like, I know you didn't mean, even if you think they didn't mean it, right?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I know you didn't mean it. If you give them an excuse, they'll tend not to take it. That's one of the biggest things I've learned in life. When you say, hey, look, I know you didn't mean it like this. You probably were just upset. And
this is how I feel.
Right. You did this. It's like, then they're more like, not necessarily always going to, but more likely to say, hey, no, I'm sorry. That's my fault. So if you're like, hey, you made me feel like this. Oh, yeah, well, you, right? Yeah. And so if you give them the excuse, they typically won't take it. Not always the case, but say, look, you did this, and maybe I know you weren't trying to hurt me, but I just want you to know it did hurt me, and this is why. And you know, I want to understand why you felt like why that happened. Did I trigger something, or did I, because you didn't just go decide you wanted to do something to hurt me today, right? Was something going on in your day? Did it come on? Is there something deeper here that we're ignoring because we're just looking at this hurt? Because that hurt is never the thing that's the problem, right? Yeah. But that's what we always focus on, was that little point of contention. Was something caused that point of contention? That wasn't the problem. And so being willing to dive deeper and care enough about the other person to put the pain that they caused you aside to figure out why they caused you the pain, it's not easy. And it's not easy to get that person to open up about it.
Yeah.
But that's something that you need to look for in a relationship, is early on in a relationship. Man, I don't like this. I want, what's going on with that? Can we talk about that?
And to trust yourself of why you don't like it. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just you don't like it.
Right. You may be 100% justified in what you did, but I don't like it.
That's right.
Well, it's because you keep doing this thing that I don't like. Okay, well, I may not be able to fix that, but I still don't like that. But we got to figure out. All right, let's look at those things, and we don't have to say that either one's right or wrong. The point of an argument is not to win an argument. Mm-mm. It's to not have it again.
That's right.
I mean, if you win, you're going to have it again.
That's right.
Right? And the thing is, if you lose, you're going to have it again, because you're going to get mad about the same thing again later, and they're going to think that, so yeah, it's not, if somebody wins an argument, that argument's happening again. So we don't want somebody to win the argument, because the argument doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who was right or wrong. It doesn't matter. What do I want? Well, I want us to be happy together, and I want us to grow closer together, and this is the end goal I'm looking for. Will winning this argument get you there? Well, no, but it doesn't matter. It does not matter. And so yeah, don't store things in. If someone's bothering you, man, just tell them, look, I don't want this to be an argument thing. This hurt me, and I want to talk about why it hurt me and what I can do to help you, so that obviously you didn't wake up today wanting to hurt me.
That's right.
But you did. So let's talk about this. And if you approach it in a way that's not an attack, it may take the first couple of times, because people are used to being attacked. Nobody's used to this. So they may attack back, and it's not a relationships. If you're not working on relationships, it's like if it's not growing, it's dying.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're not working on it, it's dying. It's like
Same
a business, right?
Yep.
You're never gonna be like, got this relationship going good. It's just gonna roll smoothly for the rest of our marriage. No, this is something you're gonna do all the time. But if you care for somebody, you'll do it.
Yep.
And I think if you are not willing to talk about things that are bothering you, and you're trying to be fake to be what you think the other person needs, I think deep down, this hurts really much to say, but I don't think you care about them the way you think you do.
Amen.
Yep. And that sucks, because that's what I did to my wife for 21 years. And I loved her with everything I had, but I wouldn't share my problems with her. I wouldn't say this bothers me, because I would try to be stuff I wasn't, to try to keep her happy. That's not love. That's not saying I didn't love her, but I'm saying that I wasn't treating her in love by doing that. And so, don't do that. That's not, you think you're being loving by not wanting to be mean or hurt their feelings on something. But that's what love. A good friend will tell you when you're messed up.
Yep.
A bad friend just tells you everything's great.
That's right.
I don't want people to tell me I'm great all the time. You should tell me where I'm messing up and how to do better at it.
Yeah.
When I do something, the ones I appreciate, the ones that come up afterwards, go, man, I really enjoyed whatever that if I was preaching, I really enjoyed that sermon. I don't really agree with this part, or you kind of lost me on this part, or this part didn't make sense. Tell me that. And if you're willing to come up and tell me that means you actually care, right? You're not just giving me lip service. And I appreciate you more as a friend at that point, and because I got better from it. Yep. I learned something from it. I'm not going to take it as an attack. Yeah, I obviously didn't do a good enough job I didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, because you didn't grasp some of it, or didn't understand some of it, or didn't agree with some of it. Let's figure that out. So you should want that in your relationships. You don't want a yes man. You don't want a wife that just is happy with you all the time. If you're not arguing with your girlfriend or spouse or husband or boyfriend, from this side, there ain't no love in there. you know?
And what's crazy too is I'm glad that you brought that up about like the relationship is so that, I mean, the conflict is so that way you won't have it again.
Yeah.
And it's like, there was a guy who explained, I forgot who he is, but he explained relationships are like knots. And the goal was to untangle the knot, so you guys are both on the same communication scale. Like if that goes back to your analogy, like if you try to win, that means you just pulled your side harder, and they can't pull, and so you've won that one. But the knot is actually tighter now, and delayed conflict is conflict that's delayed is conflict that's multiplied.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have a whole bunch of knots in there, and that's where you said you come in. It's like, well, you do this to me. No, well, you do this to me. It's just like, man, that is so true about of how to set that up. Takes skill and takes practice, and you'll fail at it, but it's necessary.
Right. And it's going to be counterintuitive because you want to win in life, right? And you don't want to say I failed. I heard somewhere, I think it was Jordan Peterson. Isn't that the guy's name? Is that right? Yeah. That said, I think it was him. He was one of those guys, that kind of person was saying something that they got to the point where he would say, here's where you were right and where I was wrong. And then she would say, here's where you were right and I was wrong. So you're so saying, here's where you were wrong and I was right. The other person's not listening to that, right? But when you say, look, you were right in this part, I was wrong in this part. And the other side being allowed at that point to say, all right, well, you were right in this part, though, and I was wrong in this part. And as long as we don't go, yeah, see, ha-ha, if you...
I like that.
Respect each other's when they say they're wrong and not rub it in, but say, all right, what can we do about that? How can I help more with that? And take joint accountability for, if you did something wrong, it's going to be partially my responsibility too.
Yeah. Because
you did that wrong because of a reaction to something I likely did. So if we can take that joint accountability, we can work through it, and we can become a power team with a friendship or a couple or whatever, business relationship, right? Every relationship you're in, you're gonna have struggle with each other. Learn how to deal with it, don't be afraid of standing up for yourself with it. There's a lot of people that are in a bad relationship because they don't want to stand up for themselves, and so they're just killing their identity day by day, to the point where now they don't know who they are, so they don't have the power to go out on their own, if they had to. And that's, as much as I know God hates divorce, and I hate divorce, I'd much rather see someone say, I can't do this anymore, and take care of who they really are, than to sit there and quietly kill themselves and their identity year after year into something that's never going to go anywhere. And that is not at all Josh being a proponent of divorce, because I am not, because I went through probably one of the most amicable divorces I've ever seen, and it was miserable and gut-wrenching and heartbreaking and the most difficult thing I've ever done, and I wish I could have not had to go through it. But that doesn't mean stay in something that's bad and not be who you are.
Yeah.
Just be who you are and try to fix it.
That's right.
And before it gets to the point where you go out, down the road.
You have so many knots, you don't even know where to start.
That's right. Because sometimes, you get I've been fishing before and got some knots in my reel that says, you know what, we're just cutting this line out of here.
Yeah.
You ain't never going to get all these out. Once you get to a point, what are you going to do?
Yep.
And you don't catch it before it gets there. It's one knot is not the end of the world.
What's crazy too is just being Christians. It's like God gave us plenty of signs.
Yeah.
It's like at the same time we screwed up, but at the same time He gave us plenty of warning signs.
Yeah, and it might like
whether they were subtle or not, it didn't matter.
Yeah, we've had those so many times where Amber would come to me and say, like, I don't like this. You're not showing up this way in my life, but it was still a superficial scarring.
Yeah,
it wasn't the root of it. And so I'm like, all right, and I would attack that thing. I'm going to be better at that. And she would say, the next time we get an argument, like, we've had this argument before, and you were good for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then you went right back. Well, it's because I attacked that, but I never filled her actual love tank. And so what I was expecting to get back in appreciation, I wasn't getting, because I still wasn't doing what she really needed. And I'm like, I'm putting all this effort, I'm not seeing anything. Go right back to what I was doing.
Yep.
And it's because I never knew what the real. I just didn't take the effort to figure out what the real problem was. I thought what she said was it. I mean, that's not putting the blame on her. So I'm like, well, I took her out of work. She said that was the problem. I'm like, no,
it takes two to tango.
Yeah, right. Like, I didn't understand that people aren't truthful in what's bothering them. Yeah. I really just didn't. I mean, that sounds so like, well, duh, but you say that's the problem. And I really thought, okay, that's the problem. Let's fix that. And that was a problem, but that was a problem that was caused by this problem. And that's the real thing. And really, actually, that's not. It's the one down here that caused that one, and you gotta, let's dig down and find that. So look for those things in relationships and figure it out. And there's going to be some relationships, like friendships, you may kill by doing that because people don't want you to be digging real deep. And those are going to be superficial friendships. And honestly, how many of those do you want in your life?
Yep.
I've got hundreds, if not thousands, of superficial friendships. Very, very, almost no true friendships because I've just let myself be that, not digging deep in things. Yeah. I never went, I moved around every 2 years growing up. I can make all kind of excuses why, right. But I never took the time to really look at the deep issues in someone's life and be willing to talk to them about it. So yeah, my biggest regret in my marriage is knowing about deeper issues that I was scared to talk about, and so I didn't, and then ignoring warning signs of deeper issues because I just, part of it was that I probably just wasn't brave enough to dig into them. Yeah. And part of it was I just want to pretend like they weren't there. Or wanted, I just, man, you can't. That's not showing love. If I'm like, well, if I don't bring up these things, I'm keeping everybody happy. I'm loving them. Like, that's not loving them. Yep. Hey, you got a problem in your life that maybe I can help solve, or I may be a part of it. Let's talk about this. Let's work on it. I should have done that. So yeah, what am I going to tell people that are in early relationships, dude? If it's not uncomfortable, sometimes it's not good. That's anything that you're going to get. The only way you're getting stronger in anything is go through periods of uncomfortableness, go through periods of pain. Again, back to we're in a gym, workout analogy. If you're comfortable and you're not sweating and you're just like, you leave out here like, that was easy. You put a check in the box. You're a gym member, right? You can say I work out 3 to 5 times a week. You can put yourself as I'm one of those people. But you don't have a relationship with your gym or a relationship with your body, and you don't really care about your body. You're just checking a box. And, you're never going to be a better person. You're never going to get the benefits out of it, right? That you would if you put yourself through pain when you're there. And so that, we were giving each other a hard time yesterday because everybody's, not complaining, but just, through things.
It's so funny.
Oh, it's great. It's a great time to, and if you got, it's nothing more fun than getting jabbed and giving jabs back. I love bantering with people, and particularly when you're doing something that's difficult. And so when someone can give you a hard time about something you're doing difficult, what they're really saying is, "Hey, I see you working hard, right?" And it makes it so much easier to do. But yeah, none of us were like woo-hoo-hoo and singing songs while we were doing our sets because they were miserable and hard, and we didn't want to do them. And
it's so funny, Josh, because I literally spit my water out.
Yeah,
that was such a good comeback.
Perfect timing, right? A mouthful of water, and I got you spit it everywhere.
I was like, that Joker got me. I haven't got that in so bad. I just did not expect you to say that. That was hilarious. Oh my god.
We had a good group of people in there yesterday. That was fun.
Yeah, Kate texted me afterwards. She was like, CJ, that was a lot of fun. Yeah. And it's like you said, the older you get, you're more secluded in friendships. And when you have like little banters like that, it's like that's what we always do.
That's right. Yeah. And when you're in college, you had those friends that we hung out with all the time. And as you get older and you have your life, you don't have those anymore. And that's, again, what are you going to tell younger people? I would tell the youth when I was teaching them, it was like, if you got a bunch of friends, some of them you need to cut out of your life because they're not good for you, right? But you need to take 2 or 3 of them and really, honestly, no more, and just
pour into them,
dig into them, right? Like, and have deep conversations. And if you find out they don't want to do it, then they go in that pile of, you can hang out with them every now and again, but you got some friends that are fun to hang out with. And you got some friends that are a true friend. And if you don't have one of those guys, we all have that, like, who you're going to call in the middle of the night, they'll show up with a shovel without asking questions, and that's kind of a joke, where, just tell me where you want to hide the body. I don't want to know what went on kind of thing, right? But you need a friend like that. Do I want friends to help me hide bodies? No, I'm not out murdering people, but I want a friend that no matter what I need, they're going to show up. And no matter what time I call, they're going to answer the phone. And when it's I call it 2 a.m. because I'm crying because I'm going through something hard in my life, they're not like, dude, suck it up, be a man. They're like, all right, dude, I'll be right over. And they'll sit there and not say a word while I just, get my emotions out. And that's what a friend does.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to have the answers to be a friend, but you got to be there for someone when they're going through it. And we don't do that especially as men. Women, they got that,
Dude, they have that.
Men, we don't. If a man opens up, we're just like, sissy.
Yep.
Right? That's so wrong of us to do to each other and do to ourselves, because we got nowhere to turn when we have a problem. And this, that's why you see, the military suicide rate when they come back from war, because they don't have.
I mean, men in general commit way more suicide and follow through.
Dude, I want to say it was something like men in their early 40s is like the highest percentage of suicides. Yep. That's sad. Why? Because they're at the point in their life where if they haven't made it, they feel like they should have made it by now, and they've got no real friends because they've just focused on work, and now they're struggling with something in life and they got nowhere to turn.
Yep. And
they give up. And that resonates hard with me, because I'm not thinking about killing myself, but dude, I feel you, brother.
Yep.
Because I'm not where I thought I'd be at this age, and I've failed miserably in something again, and I'm rebuilding. I'm going to be stronger, but man, I get it, man. Sometimes, some people aren't as big of a professional failure as I am. They haven't failed as many times as I am, so they don't have the confidence that I can make it out of it. They may have gotten to this point and realized I just lost everything and I've never gone through a hard time in my life before. Or that's it's very easy when you have no one to turn to just give up.
Yeah.
And honestly, my fitness journey kind of started off that way. I mean, the beginning last summer, I just gave up, and I was and I had I honestly had given up on me. I was way overweight. Now when we say these weights, and people are like, oh, that's not so bad. I'm a tiny person. Again, my started college, I was 120 pounds. When I graduated college, I was fit. I was 135 pounds. I was skinny, but I was fit.
And how tall were you at the time?
I was 5'8".
5'8".
So skinny. And I was eating. I just had too high of metabolism, and I ran a lot. So I just didn't know how to bulk up. I was doing pull-ups and push-ups. That was kind of my workout thing. I didn't know what I was doing in the gym. And I ran mostly, and then a lot. I mean, I would do ridiculous amounts of dips, pull-ups, push-ups, that kind of thing, and sit-ups. But that's because what I had to do with the Marine Corps stuff. Yeah. But got married at 25, still weighed 135 pounds. First year anniversary, I was 195.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I got desk job, stopped being as active. Wife was feeding me good, and I swelled up. And I got back down. I held in there in like the 160s, most of my stuff. But I got back up to I was like 195 pounds. So this past summer, June, I was 195 pounds, and or maybe a little before but the beginning of the year in that range. And then I just kind of basically went into depression. And I started losing weight because I wasn't eating.
That's right.
I wasn't doing anything. And then one of my buddies was like, hey, I'm running in the double-decker 10K next month. You say you used to be a runner. Why don't you run it with me? I'm like, all right. I haven't run in 20 years. And so I was like, I'm just going to do that. And so I'd seen the weight loss came from a bad place, from a giving up depression. I lost like 10 pounds, of just not the diet plan you want to go on, but I'd seen like, hey, the scale is showing different. My pants are fitting a little bit different. And so I started running, preparing for that. I didn't do that the right way. I told people I went on a 2-mile run, hadn't run in, did some try to get into running and do like 2 or 3 runs and give up on it over the years because I just kind of, wasn't as easy as it used to be when I was in college. And so I gave up on it.
Yeah.
And so I did 2 miles. It felt great. So I went out the next day to run again. And I was like, I'm just going to run part of the course so I can kind of learn part of the course. And I missed one of the turns and it running down Old Taylor Road. I'm like, I'll just run to Taylor and back. It's not that far. Taylor's very far. I don't know why. For some reason, I thought Taylor was like 3 miles down Old Taylor Road. Like in my brain, that's what I thought.
That's where you were at, yeah.
I don't know. It's 10 miles.
You were flying, that's why.
Yeah, and there's nothing between down there. Once you get past that one little gas station or whatever, it's just trees.
Yeah.
And so I ended up running over 10 miles that day. Second day of running, and I didn't have a phone on me, so I couldn't stop somewhere and call somebody. I had to get to somewhere. So I'm like, well, Taylor's got to be around the next turn. Get around the next turn, and it's not there. I'm like, it can't be much farther. And I told myself that for 8 miles, with the thing, like, oh my gosh, absolutely destroyed, severe shin splints. I mean, and I'm, trying to prepare for this 10K in 4 weeks. Whatever. And so I had the only phone number I knew off my head was my ex-wife that we, so I hadn't talked to her in weeks, and I call her on someone else's phone. I had to call like 5 times so she would answer because it was an unknown number. And I'm like, I need you to pick me up in Taylor. What are you doing there? I'm broke down. Like, your car's broke down? Like, not exactly. I am broke down. Taylor, I need you to come get me and take me to my house. And so, but anyway, so I took a couple weeks to recover from that, and then did that 10K. And was just like, oh, wow, I can do this. Even that 10-mile run destroyed me. It was dumb. That's not the way to start into any kind of workout thing, pushing us that hard. But it kind of, you can do this. You kept giving up on it the previous years and want to get back into it, but you're stronger than you thought. And it took being in a place where I was so angry at everything that I refused to fail at this too. I didn't stop and walk. I ran the entire thing in severe pain. I mean, my shins were on fire. I was like, I am not stopping until I get to that little store down there. And I was hoping that little square, like the post office and the catfish place, there's nothing. I had to go on past it down into plain air to find someone. But I was like, I will not stop running. I'm not going to fail at this run. I don't care how long it takes me to get there. And that mindset switch kind of happened in that run. And then I completed the double-decker 10K, which, that was a huge thing. It's 6 miles or whatever, but you kind of just like, all right, now I'm going to make a change and focus on me. And so I started running more, and I got a lot of that weight off. And then a couple months ago, started up here with you, and now I'm trying to put weight back on. But, I got down, I'm 150 pounds now. Yeah. Feel the best shape of my life, feeling great, getting stronger much faster than I ever dreamed I would. And it's helped out a lot because it's given me easy wins, because each time I come in and I'm able to push that weight up a little bit more, that's a win. Yeah. Even if I bump that weight up but I can't do a full set, it doesn't matter. I'm pushing more weight than I did the last time. And the next time I come in, I'm going to get a full set out of it, and just those little wins and that growth I got from it really helped me mentally kind of break through some of the challenges I went through last year. Because it was, it's taken me a year to get through all this stuff, and I'm not saying I'm through it all. I still, it comes in waves. It's just they start getting farther and farther apart, and not as big, and then eventually hopefully, you'll be never be clear water, but it's
it gets better.
So that definitely helped. And I don't remember how we get started in that thing, but the I think it was on the weight loss start and a lot of things, how I got to that. But definitely once you see some of it and you realize I'm doing this, like I'm losing weight because of what I'm working at it. I'm watching what I eat. I'm putting in the time. I'm putting in the effort. I'm not giving up on myself. And I look at eating something I'm not supposed to eat as giving up on myself. No, I don't. My kids got me a bunch of candy for Christmas, and I've been eating on it. I'm not going to. I love Toblerones. They got me a big bag of the little. I'm going to eat them, every one of them. Just not eating them all in one sitting.
That's right.
Right? I'm not going to give up on stuff. I like to eat. I like good food, but I don't have to. I don't have to feed the depression with food, right?
That's
I don't
right.
have to, I don't have to use food as my happiness because it's not. It's so fleeting. And then it hangs around and makes you mad at yourself afterwards, which is, you can say about a lot of things that are not really particularly great for you. Even things that are good for you and you use the wrong way ain't great for you.
Yep.
You need food. It's good for you. You eat too much of it, it's not all that great for you anymore. But it's been a fun fitness journey. And I'm very grateful. I get a good segue into your gym here. Very grateful for this because I just didn't know what to do. I don't, even like with running, I'm probably not even running correctly, right? With the right form. I just
run.
I just don't give up. So I'll go and I can run. I'm not going to be the fastest guy out there, but I'll just keep going. I didn't know what workouts to do. I didn't know anything. And when I would go to a gym, I'd, like everybody, do some bench press, do some curls, look awkward and go home. What else are you going to do? You don't, I don't know. And so I'm not doing any of that stuff here. I'm doing other random things and seeing huge improvements. And so I would have known even where to start.
Yeah.
Without that, so that's the biggest thing here. I mean, that's that, and it's kind of a quiet. You don't have that whole feel like you're being watched by everybody. You don't, I'm in here with these muscle heads, and now I feel embarrassed. I'm like, everybody here, there's most of the people that work out here are way above my skill level, and I never feel like I'm embarrassed working out next to them when they're here. But a lot of times I'm in here by myself, and so it's a different feeling than being in a big gym. For sure, and more of a family feeling too.
Yep.
And you're real good about if I walk in and you're here with somebody, you're going to introduce us, and it's like, you guys are part of the same family. Y'all need to know each other, and that's a really cool. It's what really makes this place different than most places. Is it's not a gym. Yes, it's a gym, but it's not.
So many people have said that.
It's not a gym, and I don't feel like. Because I even still I don't like to tell people I'm going to the gym because it feels so fake to me, and so it's not like something I really like to talk about because most people, they use that as their identity, and I don't want that. I've had that problem where things have been my identity. I know this is not my identity. This is just something I do to make myself feel better.
Yep.
This is something I do to prove myself I can do more than I'm doing. That I can be more than I've been. I'm 46 and I've never been in this good a shape ever in my life. I mean, even when I was, free diving for 5-6 hours a day and swimming, and I was lean and cut, I was lower body fat at that time, right? And was in really good condition. But as far as being, having strength and feeling good and all that, man, I whoop the snot out of my college self right now.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. He probably outrun me because he was pretty quick in college. I'm not that fast right now, but I've just total energy and just the way I feel by myself physically, and mentally. Honestly, it just I'm light years beyond.
And it's crazy too. Is you don't have to spend as much time with people in the gym as you think you do.
No.
If the workout's designed for you, kind of like the gun. If the gun is designed for you, it's gonna fit better. You gotta shoot better. You gotta feel it better. It's just gonna be a better product. You won't have to spend as much time as you think you would.
No, I can with the workouts that y'all give me. I can be in here 45 minutes to an hour and get it all done. Now, a lot of times I'm in here for an hour and a half, but it's because I just kind of my mind wanders a lot. If I'm in here by myself, it might take me 2 hours because my mind will. I'll do a set, get a drink of water, and my mind just do. I'm here for a reason. I have to get back to it. It's a. But it's
how many times does Ben get you coming in?
I'm coming in 3 times a week.
See?
Right now. So
Man,
I'm doing 3 times a week.
Some people think that's not possible 3 times a week. You believe how many people come in here? They're like, I got to come out here 5-6 days a week. No.
And I mean, could you get more out of it? Probably, but I don't. Yeah, I do less than 3 times a week if you're just trying to maintain and get feeling a little bit better. I'm sure it would work, but I mean, it's not that hard to find 3 hours a week. One of the things I did is I took a lot of crap off my phone. So I don't have anything drawing me to the screen time as much anymore. For a little while, I turned my iPhone to grayscale.
Yep, I've done that too.
Because it just didn't give the whole dopamine hit like color images do when you're looking watching video stuff. So I just wouldn't stay on it as long, and it helped.
Yep.
And then I got rid of TikTok for a little while, till I got to where I wasn't drawn to it as much, and now I can but I don't draw. I have people I follow. I don't get some stuff, but it's just for short times when I'm sitting somewhere waiting on something or whatever. But I try not to even use that as my thing I go to when I'm bored, because then it becomes that addictive thing.
Yep.
And so I've kind of had to wean myself off of that. I took all the games off of it.
Yep.
I don't want to play games on it anymore because that's just I'm doing stuff that's not making me any better. I don't need that.
We already have enough distractions here.
Yeah. And so you realize that those things, not everything in your life has to make you better, right? Okay. But if something is keeping you from putting time into something that'll make you better, and you're complaining about not having enough time, well, there's some things you can get rid of.
Yep.
And so, have fun. Don't take all the fun out of your life, right? That don't.
Yeah. We're not promoting that.
I really don't have any problem with people that want to scroll on TikTok for a while. I want to play a game on their phone for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you shouldn't have those things. I'm saying for me, they became almost addictive where I was spending too much time doing them. And so I just said, I don't want to do those anymore.
It was crazy too, is I have this one quote that I got, I think it's from a monk book maybe, but one of them said basically is Laziness is not doing nothing. It's avoiding the things you should be doing. If you're not doing anything, that means you're resting.
Wow.
And I'm like, that really stood out to me.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So that's what I've noticed is like when I'm distracted or on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it may be, and I just catch myself going there all the time, I'm just like, what am I avoiding here?
Yes.
You know?
And that's the thing. And that's I get very overwhelmed with stuff because I've always got so much going on that sometimes I'll go to that because I've got so much to do. I don't want to think about it. And it's just my way of getting away from the overwhelming feeling. But that's just all I'm doing is putting off what I need to do and making that more stressful when it's time to go to it. And it's really hard, though, to push yourself to go do that. It's just to say, look, no, do some work, man.
Yep.
It's and so some people are really good at just being able to get things done. Some people like me, I really have to force myself for it. I have to have a deadline. I have to have a reason. I have to have a, I can't. Even with all my pilot stuff, if I started studying for my commercial check ride, and then when the guy wouldn't give me a date for it, I stopped studying because I didn't know when it was.
That's right.
And so I just didn't have that sense of urgency. He could have called and said, "Hey, I'm open in 2 days," and I'd have been like, "Oh crap!" and cramming for the next 48 hours on the book knowledge stuff I was going to need to have for the oral part of the exam. And I'd have been in trouble.
Yep.
But if you're not going to, I just couldn't. Now you can say 3 months from now, and then like 2.5 months from now, I'm going to start. That's who I. I know that's a weakness of mine. Is I'm going to put things off until and then my brain can focus on crunching down on it and doing it. But
that's what we say too at the gym too. Is like when people come and they're like really struggling. Like, do I sign up with you? Do I not? I'm like, listen. I always go this just because from the podcast when people say, I said, we're not a gym. They're like. So we're just an accountability group, and if you feel like we can hold you accountable and you feel like you're going to get good support from us, then I would pick us. If you do not feel like you're going to get enough accountability and good enough support, then I would not pick us. And they're like, sign the line.
Yeah. and that was for me, aside from not knowing what exercises to do, but I could have gotten on YouTube and probably figured that out, honestly.
Absolutely.
Not trying to push people away from your place, but
That's true.
You can do that. And
I
it may
tell
not
people
be
that
as
in the
good.
console.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, listen, the reason why you're here is not because you don't know how to do it. You can YouTube it.
Yeah.
The reason why you're here is because you're not doing it.
That's right. I need you to say, hey, you didn't show up Wednesday. You okay?
Yep.
And because there's been a couple I guess I'm 10 or 11 weeks in with you guys or something like that. I've had a few things where I've missed. I couldn't make it,
Right.
and that's, don't beat yourself up over it. All right. There's been a couple times where like I couldn't come on Friday. I came in on Saturday. I made it up. And there's been a couple times like I couldn't come in.
That's right.
I'll see you next Monday.
That's right.
It's there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to beat myself up over it. It's fine. And so, but Ben was real good about like, hey, everything all right? So you missed. And, I'm sure if I'd missed more than one in a row, that'd have been like, hey,
what's going on?
What's going on? But I never had to get the whole stern thing from him, but I appreciated that. And I knew that someone was expecting me to be here and that I had an accountability and I was recording my workouts. So if I didn't do all the workouts or I didn't push myself hard, someone else was looking at what I did. And that means, there's a lot too. One, there's a couple of things. One, you don't want to go weak because you don't want to let down your coach or let down someone that's looking at what you're doing. You want them to see progress. Yep. And then two, you want to have that pride of, I want to do well so they can see and go, oh, wow, look, Josh is doing well. There's some pride in it. If you're just doing it for yourself and nobody else is seeing it, it's not. There's something about it. It's not all about what people think, but there's a big thing in life about, what people think, and don't let it define you, but it is important, and you want people to be proud of you, and that gives you strength to keep doing what you're doing. So, having someone that, is looking at what you're doing and then come and say, hey, wow, man, you're making great progress on that. We're going to try this next time around. Or, hey, we're testing now. Let's see, man, you've been doing good. Let's see if we can push up to this weight and see what you can do. That means a lot. That's an encouragement thing. And that's really what you're getting here. And that in the family atmosphere in there. Like that was such a fun workout the other day, and I wasn't even here that long. I was like, man, I wish it was a full workout day for me. I was testing, so I was only here for like 30 minutes. I'm like, man, I wish I had more workouts to do,
Yep.
I hung out and did some pull-ups for a little bit because I just didn't want to leave. It was having fun.
It's crazy too that you say that, because that's what me and Ben have noticed now is the more time we spend in the gym and have more one-on-one clients, and then when we do have our hybrid clients come in like you, it's like, man, it's like you can build such a better community that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're trying to push more towards the one-on-one, not because we don't want a hybrid, but because it makes the hybrid experience more better.
Mm.
And so that's what we've noticed too. And
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, well, we used to just promote both. We don't really promote hybrid anymore. We just promote all one-on-one, and we use that one as like, oh, if you want, it's there if you want to use it.
Right.
But now we're honing down because like, oh wait, this is actually our bread and butter, and we do have people who like hybrid. Let's just triple down on that.
And a lot of people need that one-on-one. They need to I need to know that if I don't show up, I'm not just going to text saying, where are you? Somebody was waiting there for me and I didn't show up. And it means a lot more. And so, and there was a time in my life where I probably needed that.
Yeah.
Right now I've seen progress. And once I've seen progress, that's enough motivation for me.
Yeah. You're making progress quick too, man.
Man, I'm not trying to be boastful, but I'm way quicker than I ever thought. Like gosh, man, it's just, I've seen such a big difference in myself.
And you're just starting to see like what you can, how strong you can be.
Yeah.
Like, you're not even like me and Ben were talking about that the other day. I was just like, he can be really strong.
Man, I was like, I remember when I first started, like, what do you want? I'm like, it was the whole, like, you want to look like Brad Pitt from Fight Club? I'm like, yeah, that'd be great, but I'll never be able to do that. And now I'm like, I don't know, maybe. I mean, I'm not there at all now, but I'm like, as the progress I made now, maybe that's not far-fetched, it's just, we'll keep that on the back, like there's a possibility. We won't push that completely out,
The reason why I'm laughing so hard is because I remember you saying that. You're like, I'll never be able to get that, but now I'm just like,
dude, I was thinking like, I'm in my 40s. I'm not gonna starve myself to be there. But I haven't been starving myself to get the where I need to be.
Need to.
And so
because when you're comparing yourself to two, you're in Mississippi, one of the most unhealthiest states in the world. And so it's just like, of course you're gonna think that way. That's what we're surrounded by. Like, to think that somebody in their 40s can't look like that, to me, like with the knowledge I have, is insane. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, of course you can. You're comparing yourself to everyone else in society who's doing literally nothing.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
And it doesn't take, and I'm not doing that. That's what I'm like.
It's 1% of your time per week.
Legitimately. Legitimately, so little of the time. Like it. Why?
It's just about being consistent, man.
Right. And so I'm like, well, how much do I have extra time? Can I put more into this? Can I, I'm trying, I don't want it to take, like, again, I don't want to be that, I'm not trying to,
because you're making
such
fitness
model
progress,
or something like that. I just want to keep feeling good and keep feeling better and keep seeing progress. And so, I'm not going to let it take me over. I'm not going to be that guy, but, man, I really enjoy it. At first I didn't like coming. I came because I knew I needed to. It was not fun. The feeling afterwards is just like running. I don't enjoy running, but I enjoy the way I feel afterwards.
Yeah.
But after you do it for a while, then you kind of get a little bit of that euphoric. Right, it's starting to feel okay. I still don't I don't ever go like, yay, I'm about to go running.
That's right.
Ever. In fact, in the summertime, I was running at like noon every day.
Yeah.
Because that's the stupidest time of the day to run.
Mm-hmm.
But it was because the night before, I was like, you're going to get up at 6 and you're going to go running. And then the alarm would go off at 6 and I would just turn it off and I'd wake up at like 8 or 8:30 or 9 because I was depressed and didn't feel like getting out of bed. And then I'd sit there and I want to get started. And then finally, when I got enough motivation to go running, 6 hours after I was supposed to go, it was the heat of the day. And I was like, well, stupid, you're going to do it. Yep. Maybe you'll learn your lesson. You'll get up early next time. And I wouldn't. And I'd go and so all these people driving on the road like, what's this idiot doing in 170-degree weather in the middle of the day running? This guy's just glutton for punishment. No, he's just stupid and can't get himself to get up in the morning because he's too depressed to get out of the bed.
That's right.
And so
it's crazy too. And you'll think this is crazy. Some of the data that I've read is, so they had two controlled groups to make progress. And so you had one that works out 3 times a week for roughly about 60 minutes per session. And then you had somebody who works out 6 times a week for roughly 60 minutes per session. And basically, long story short, is you really only have a 3% difference in each group. Mm. And so that tells you, like, It's more about the quality and what you're doing in the gym and how you're handling stuff outside the gym.
Right.
Because those people, and what they realized was the people that spent 3 times a week in the gym, they had more time to focus on their nutrition, their families, their relationships in general. And that's why they're making the progress. Not because they were spending more
Because
time
their
in the gym.
overall health was better because
You can recover better.
Mm-hmm.
You can sleep better. And it's more maintainable for life. Like no matter what season you're in, you can go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week for at least 30 to 45 minutes. No matter what season you're in.
Yeah, you can find that time.
Whether you have a whole bunch of kids or not, you can find that time. Whether you could do a home workout really quick for 15, 20 minutes, whatever. But it's crazy. And so now I always tell clients when they come in, I'm like, I just need 1% of your commitment per week. 1% of your time per week.
And that's, when you put it like that, I mean, okay, I can't, certainly you can do that. You know, that's a, you know, lunch break or a, you know, whatever, man, get up a little bit earlier.
Yep.
I don't like, it's hard to get me up early for anything that's not fun. You know, I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go fishing.
That's right.
You know,
I will do it with dirt biking.
that's right. You know,
I will
if
get
it's
to the
fun,
dirt bike track at 6 a.m. if I have to.
Hey, we're going diving tomorrow morning. Gotta be at the dock at 3. I'll see you there.
I'll see you there.
You know, but yeah, hey, we're going running in the morning and see at 7. How about 9?
Yep.
You know, I don't want to. You know, I don't like to. You know, if I don't have anything to do, I want to sleep in and then have a cup of coffee and lounge around for a little bit and then start my day. You know. I really ruined myself for that store because we didn't open until 10. And so I got to, you know.
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah. I ruined myself. In the mornings, I'd like just like get up, send the kids to school, and I could lounge around. And if I was tired, I could go back to bed. If I was, you know, which the downside of that is I didn't realize at the time I was doing a lot of depression over the last few years and stuff. And so I was just going back to bed because I didn't want to start my day.
Yep.
But that was a, you know, whole other thing. But I would have
Sleep
time to do like my
problems,
Bible
sleeping.
study, play the guitar for a little bit, read a book, do whatever I wanted to. I had all this time. And even in that time, though, most of the time I could do all those things, but most days I didn't. Most days I would sit there and drink coffee and stare at the wall.
Yep.
You know, which, hindsight, those are warning signs. You're not doing well mentally.
Isn't that crazy when you look back at your warning signs? You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, I didn't realize how bad I was, honestly, the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And because you didn't see those things as warnings. I just thought I'm just tired or I'm stressed. No, man. Yeah, you've got some mental things you need to take care of in your life, and you're not. You're ignoring yourself. And so, yeah. Now, you start focusing on yourself physically. You get a lot of that stuff out. I do a lot of thinking in the gym, because that's sometimes why it takes me 2 hours, because I get into stuff and go, I start working through things. I do a lot of that. When I run, I don't run with music because there's no distractions. My brain's able to sit there and like work through stuff. Now, if I don't have anything going on, sometimes your life's peachy. You don't have anything going on. All right, I'll put some music on. And I'll have a faster run with music if my life is doing pretty good at the time. But if I'm having a rough spot, I can go for a run and come back feeling a lot better physically and mentally because my brain was able to work through stuff because I was out there without being distracted by anything.
It's interesting because I do the same thing with dirt biking because I have to put a helmet on and I have to focus in on what I'm doing at the task because there's so much going on. There's jumps, there's turns, clutch, shifting gears to engine braking to figuring out all that stuff. It's so interesting. Yeah. And that's where I kind of recharge in a sense where I can just focus on one thing. Because entrepreneurs like me, this, like our brains are scattered a lot because like we have a plan for the day and it rarely ever goes to plan.
Yeah, that's right.
Something we got to fix.
And the people in our lives don't understand that either. Yeah. Like, well, you said you were going to be at this place this time. I'm like, dude, look, my life is never going to be. Here's the plan.
I'll give you a range.
You got to have a plan because you have something like if everything goes well, it's not going to. But if everything goes right, this is the plan. But yeah, those, they never. What was my dad always said? I'm going to butcher it. It was something, no good plan ever survives contact with the enemy or something like that. You can have a plan and you got to have a plan, but as soon as you make contact with the enemy, that plan is done. That's not going to work anymore. It's what they did was not what you expected. It's different now, but you still have to have it to have something to work off of.
That's right.
In those things. And so, sorry, Dad, I know I butchered that, but that's you can tell me how bad it was later. You kept saying I say things and you said them all wrong. Well, Maybe if you had said them 7,000 times instead of 6,000 times in my life, I'd have caught it.
All right. In closing, I always ask this question. If you had to pick one dessert to eat at night, right before you go to sleep, what is your go-to if you had to pick just one?
Just one.
For the rest of your life?
There's a lot of desserts I really like, but like my all too favorite banana pudding.
Ooh, yeah.
Dude, I'm a banana pudding.
Now, is there somebody specifically that makes it?
So
or?
yeah, every old lady at the church. I was doing the announcements at church a few years ago, and we were having like a potluck the next Sunday or something like that, and it was supposed to be like finger foods. And so I was making the announcement. It's all finger foods, and just so you know, banana pudding is a finger food. And because I didn't have just anytime I was talking about food, I told people I like banana pudding. Well, showed up and there was like 9 different banana puddings there, and it was the greatest day of my life. So I got a big dinner plate and just I had all of them, and I'm like, look, I can't not try all 9 of them. I will offend somebody. So, and then you can't have just one helping of all 9 of them, because I'm like, oh, it wasn't good enough for seconds. So I had to get seconds of all 9 of them, obviously. Yeah. So yeah, so I ate a lot. I don't know if I ate anything but banana pudding that day, but and my sister makes probably my favorite one at the time, and it's just a little bit different. And she just started making it recently, and it's got these weird square looking cookies instead of vanilla wafers. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's
so good.
So good. I feel bad because I asked her to make it for Thanksgiving and then only ate a little bit. Well, I'm like, well, I'm watching what I eat. She's like, I made you a big pan of it. I'm like, I know. I'm not. She can take it home. I'm like, I'm not taking it home. I'll eat all of it, and I'm trying not to. I'm seeing progress. I had some. Okay, yes.
I don't want to go one night over.
That's right. This is my calorie carb limit for the week right there. I'm done. I'm going to cheat a little bit, but not going to cheat that much. I should have made a small pan. But thanks. I appreciate it. It was really good.
I appreciate you being on the podcast.
Man, this is great.
It's been a pleasure having you at the gym. It's been really fun just introducing your clients, because, obviously I knew you before this with BNI and the group like that. So like when you told me you wanted to sign up for the gym, I was like, yes, because I was like, I know Josh is going to fit right in with all these people. And your progress is only the start. Like legitimately, like you have a high ceiling that you just haven't attacked yet.
Right. I appreciate that, because that feels good. It feels good to be noticed and seen at the park, because I feel, I'm excited about it. Yeah. And I haven't been excited about progress in anything, honestly, as much as I have in this, in a long time. So it's been fun.
I'm excited about the flight too. That's gonna be sweet too.
Yeah, so we definitely, when I get back end of the month, we need to just go and just say, hey, this is it. We're gonna go on this date and go do it. Let me know a time, and we'll go up and.
Dude, I want to see Oxford, like you said. Now,
yeah,
and now fun. Since especially too with all the leaves kind of dead, you can probably see things.
You can see everything now.
Yeah.
So,
all right, y'all. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast with Josh here and learned some stuff. But appreciate you all listening, and we'll see y'all soon.
Crushed it, baby. That was fun.